Bernie Madoff. Remember Bernie Madoff?
Yeah, he made off with a lot of money. A boom.
Super Ponzi scheme, probably one of the biggest in the world, like billions of dollars that he's taken from one party, saying, okay, you're going to make this much money when you give me this money, and he'll take that money and give it to somebody else, and then that money, and he's just robbing Peter to pay Paul, and
moving running around,
and did it forever. Like that confidence game, that ability to just get people to trust you with their money, that is crazy, powerful.
It's words.
And
it's a lot of words to confuse people.
Well, is it confusing or is it just...
To me, but no, yeah, you're right. He probably made people feel really at ease, and it's like, probably made it seem like it was just a sure thing, and there was nothing to really be sure of other than that he was going to rob them. And I wonder if he thought this guy was going to keep going forever. Like, he had to know that at some point.
Well, what we're going to learn today is, what if you are a con man like that, but you lucked out and you actually created something that made money by some universal chance, right? All this scheming turned into something positive.
Do you give the money back or no?
I mean, I think, right? Like, that's what we're going to learn today. Lou Pearlman, okay? One of Orlando's legends.
He's a legend.
Yeah, he created NSYNC. He created Backstreet Boys. I mean, a whole lot of music. He brought a lot of culture to Orlando when Orlando was just
all
Disney.
Right, I'm going to have to see. I'll reserve judgment until the end, but so far, I don't hear anything that makes me think legend so far.
All right. Well, we got to admit that the Backstreet Boys are a huge band.
Yes.
Okay. To some people, that's legendary, especially selling hundreds of millions of records, touring the world. Probably each one of those Backstreet Boys got Will Chamberlain numbers as far as bitches that they ran through.
Well, one of them was dudes too. But
oh, that's right. Well, he probably ran through dudes.
Through all the dudes' penises.
So, like, we're going to learn that Pearlman started off as a regular sales dude, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And turned that into another...
I didn't answer. Yes, Backstreet Boys are a huge band, and...
they're legendary.
Yeah.
You would have to say Pearlman's a legendary guy.
No, I think, like, the Spice Girls are legendary. You know what I mean?
More legendary than Backstreet?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's because it's girls.
It is, in a way. I mean, they're they did shit that I don't think girl bands had ever done.
But you know Backstreet songs. Even though you might not like them, when they play, you're like, oh, it's a Backstreet song.
Yeah, but I know Taylor Swift songs, too, and she's not legendary to me.
She is legendary.
Yeah, she is. She fucking is. I took this too far. Sorry, that was too far.
I mean,
I don't see the Backstreet Boys as legendary. I think, or NSYNC, but I think maybe Justin Timberlake is legendary, maybe, before NSYNC would be. I think they're just so, like, manufactured and, like, it's hard for something like, for me.
Are the Beatles legendary?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a different type of manufacturing.
At this point.
I mean, according to Quincy Jones, these guys couldn't play for shit.
Couldn't play for shit. Yeah. There was some story about how they trying to get, like, one part of something right and, like, couldn't do it for, like, an entire session. And then when they left for lunch, the dudes over there did it in, like, 45 minutes. And when it came back, they were like, all right, well, let me hear what we were doing. And they play it. The stuff that whoever was there afterwards played, and he was like, "Oh, it sounds pretty good, doesn't it?" And there was like just laughing. It's like, "Yeah, motherfucker, it sounds great because we just killed that shit." But I don't know enough about the Beatles catalog and all of that. I think just with all of the stuff that has happened and that they've done in music, having to do with music, outside of music, at this point they're legendary for sure.
Right.
But I would never in the world even equate or compare Beatles to fucking NSYNC.
Why not?
Hell to the no.
It's the same thing. It's four guys together singing songs, and you can even argue to say Lou Pearlman is a Quincy Jones in some respect.
No fucking way.
People are listening to
Where's
music.
my button at, man? Where is it at?
I mean, yes.
Halfway. Take a few steps back. to go.
You ain't got the answers,
Pearlman did not come up with the music for Thriller. Okay, for Off the Wall.
I've been doing this more than you.
Obviously, yes. When it comes to superhero legendary producers with the magic touch, I would put Quincy Jones at the pinnacle of that. But on the way to the pinnacle, if you're climbing this mountain, you got to reach a certain altitude that Lou Pearlman is hanging out with little boys at. Okay?
Yo!
He is hanging out, and he took these little boys, and he created a super group.
What I mean,
regardless, the fan base is screaming teenagers and little fat kids.
Amazing, awesome.
The fat kids part,
all of it. Everybody who enjoyed. I'm not really. I mean, it wasn't for me. Even when I was, even back then, it wasn't for me. Matter of fact, back then I was more vocal about how I didn't like it. Now
you were that guy.
No, not necessarily that guy.
It's two sides here. It's either you're in love with the band and you're doing the dance moves, or you don't like it. I was on
most
the I don't
things
like
in
it.
life are a spectrum. So I was in the spectrum more toward like I don't want to hear that shit. If you want to bop around with it, that's cool. But like let's not like at parties when people start to like. You know what I mean? I'm just like, God damn it, man. Am I here right now? I think it's time to go because these motherfuckers doing choreographed and whatever. It wasn't for me. Now it's like, I know everybody likes something. That's what's up. But like that kind of manufacture it, buy, kind of like, it wasn't for me. And now I can't call it legendary, even though I've done nothing near it in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So... Some might say so.
So what's the word for something like that that's super successful, crazy? Like what? It's just infamous,
not infamous,
notorious.
I mean, those have negative connotations. I wouldn't say. I'm not saying they're negative. I just don't think it's a legendary like the tale of the Backstreet Boys.
They're just another successful group that got ran through the pipeline.
Is One Direction legendary? They've broken those numbers.
Yeah?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
They just were super popular. And this other band, the K-pop band.
Or what about New Kids on the Block, the original? Well, you would have to say New Edition would probably be the original boy band.
Legendary? I don't know.
Bobby Brown did some legendary cocaine.
He did. And, Marky Mark's brother did some kind of awesome. He's still doing awesome stuff. I love Blue Bloods.
So Justin is a legendary, not excluding the last album.
I would say more than
the whole entire.
Oh, for sure. He's done movies and philanthropy
and
stuff. The albums, the kind of like some say appropriation, but I'm just saying like the Pharrell and Timbaland albums were awesome. Pharrell albums 1 and 2 and Timbaland's album 1 and 2, those are great. The double album, I love that.
So here's another argument then, okay? Without Joe Jackson, Quincy Jones wouldn't be able to pull certain things out of Michael, right? Because Joe Jackson was there.
He allowed it.
Not just allowed it, he created the mindset of not giving up, going hard. Arguably, without Joe Jackson spanking the shit out of Michael as a kid, right? He wouldn't be able to pull off
Tiger
those
Woods,
exactly.
Venus and Serena Williams.
And Lou Pearlman was that type of dude with these kids because, just try to put any 4 guys together and create a band. It just doesn't happen like that.
Well,
right? To create a successful $100 million producing band.
But he's not their father.
But he you could tell that he's talented because he not just did it with Backstreet, he did it with NSYNC, and he had a lot of boy bands. You know what I mean? But to strike the lot,
it was Otown. My girlfriend, right after college, right during college, first my community college, get in her bedroom one night, and she's got a big corkboard full of Otown pictures and tickets and. Creep me the fuck out, let me tell you, because when she started, because I had never seen or I didn't never mention Otown. Again, I'm not the Backstreet Boy guy. And then she was just like talking. And I think as she was talking, I realized, man, this is definitely not going to last at all. And it didn't. But
there's there's millions of girls like that. Millions.
Yeah, for sure. Popular, millions. Undoubtedly, that's pop. It's pop music. Popular, music. It just was. It was not good.
Arguably,
it was not good
there's
music.
not a lot of like originality, so therefore it has lack of soul, maybe, right?
Yeah, I love music with soul, and I do like popular music too. I like Lil Nas X, that little Panini song that makes no sense at all. I love that song.
Yeah, but you could tell he's by himself, or not at least by himself. It's coming from him.
Seems like it.
It seems like it doesn't seem.
And I'm not even mad at pop. You know, I like some of Britney Spears stuff. You know, when it kind of came out, when that was also
Pharrell.
Again, the Pharrell albums. Those were the good songs, you know. But
I'm a slave.
Yeah, this shit was hard, you know. I was like, damn, that's a good beat, man. Who did Pharrell, you know? And then so they're getting help, and I'm not mad at that. But the help that the Backstreet Boys were getting when I heard it, and the help that, and I guess we're harping on those through because
those. I mean, we're gonna see that Lou Pearlman did a lot of stuff.
NSYNC?
Both.
Okay.
He managed both of them.
Okay.
That's what's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And another thing is, when did you move to Orlando?
I would say like 2005.
All right, so this was a little after. I got here in 96, okay? So this is when you had Shaq and Penny, all right? You had Lou Pearlman, Transcontinental. Right. There was a vibe in the city. Yes. Orlando was on fire.
A little swag, a little confidence, and
people respected. People were thinking, and I have to throw this out there, which you're probably going to get cringed about this, but they were saying that Orlando was going to be the next Motown, and Lou Pearlman was the guy from...
People in Orlando were saying that.
A lot of people
in Orlando were saying that. Internationally.
Yes.
Dude,
who's the guy that ran Motown?
Barry Gordy.
They were saying that Big Papa, Lou Pearlman...
Who's they?
Just Billboard. There's Billboard articles about it. There's and I'll tell you why.
I like to bring up Billboard when people argue good or bad, because I'm just saying this person got this from Billboard. But they have some weird kind of like.
Let me put it on you like this, okay? It was because of the success of these two boy bands that he was able to get people to invest in his company and use that. Whatever idea he had. I want to revitalize Church Street Station, right? I'm going to take your money that you're going to invest in my investment fund, and this is the money I'm going to use. And guess what? I'm going to be successful because look at what I did with these guys.
Yeah.
And you want to be associated with these guys?
Of course.
So that has to hold, maybe not in our mind, because I agree. I will say they're legendary, but I've never was a fan of theirs.
No, yeah, and I'm not trying to hate on them because
no, you're not.
Talented,
it's your taste.
I'll say talented.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they sang the songs badly or something like that. Could dance to somebody who showed them how to dance. I assume they didn't choreograph their own shit, but to their credit, most of them hit those dance steps, right? Probably at some level. I don't know. There were a couple like bad apples in there, right? That did some negative stuff concerning alcohol and drugs and fans and people or whatever.
Of course.
But again, I'd be fucking off the rails if I was goddamn.
Bro, if you have women,
unlimited
if
amount
little girls
of money,
turning into Spider-Man on top of your tour bus,
you gotta, I'd probably fall off the fucking cliff too. But seem like nice guys, All I'm saying is, when I heard the songs, they almost immediately was either the radio station was changed, or I would try to.
But it wasn't for you. Those songs weren't made for people with testicles.
True.
Real testicles.
I think maybe the songs might have been for everybody, but they weren't necessarily singing to people who didn't have boobs.
Those songs, are the buffet line.
But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know their catalog. I don't know their catalog outside the hits. So they might have other songs.
Even vegans, you could take anybody to really Golden Corral.
Not really. Just
let's say listen, if Golden Corral was the last restaurant on earth, everybody could go there and eat. Sure. Why? Because they have a little bit something for enough for everybody to get a little pleased. Yeah. So even though you didn't like the songs, there was things like you said that you at least can admire and be like, oh, that's look at the way that man is hitting them damn steps.
I liked that one. They're fucking like, actually, you know what? NSYNC might be legendary.
They got some good songs.
Not necessarily because of that. One, because of Justin Timberlake. They birthed Justin Timberlake. And two, they were like the first non-black group to be on BET. And that song they had, Gone, I think it was called, that black and white song. That's legendary.
Yeah.
That's fucking legendary.
Yeah.
So
they
far,
picked the right producers.
however many minutes into this thing, I've already changed my mind once. Just with NSYNC, though. Backstreet Boys, I don't think so, bro. We'll see. If I see something else, but not Backstreet Boys.
Well, where I'm getting at is that
Lou Pearlman, though.
Lou Pearlman had something about him that created opportunities for greatness. Now, if he would have, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, what if you were running a Ponzi scheme and it was all a con, right? But then somewhere along the line, you create something amazing. Here's your chance to turn everything around.
The most legendary Ponzi scheme, scammer.
I think
the dichotomy.
If I had a little bit of money and I met Lou Pearlman, I'd probably give him my money.
Even now?
No, of course now. It's hindsight. The guy's dead and he was in jail for mad years before that. But at the time, living in Orlando, middle school and high school, growing up with like Lou Pearlman, seeing like, 6 Sense of Separation, right? Where like you
6 degrees of separation?
6 degrees, I'm sorry. 6 degrees of separation. You are close to somebody. Shaq, right, used to run a record label called Twism or Twistum.
The World Is Mine.
And it was here in Orlando when I first started making beats and being rapper in high school, right? I was like, those are opportunities I can get. You know what I mean? The producer, Sicario, I think his name was. I can't remember now, so long ago. That made a lot of those NSYNC beats. He signed a duo called Smiles and South Star.
Yes.
From Orlando. So there was so much opportunity being like grown from indirect or direct connections from these people. So I'm saying if I was a young man with some money, I'd probably go break bread with Lou Pearlman because I'm like, damn, this guy's super successful. I might not like NSYNC, I might not like Backstreet Boys, but there's something I can learn from this man. And that's what I think all these people that were taking advantage of in this Ponzi scheme we're going to learn was basically because of Lou Pearlman's ability to get people to respect him, to feel comfortable. And the dude is a jovial. The reason I say jovial is because I heard this from another person that was describing him. He's like a happy-go-lucky, fat kind of guy.
Yeah. He's just a fat kind of guy.
The only thing that's kind of creepy is that he doesn't have a woman. When you're fat and you're like jovial and you don't have a woman and you're around a whole bunch of little boys, people are going to start to suspect what, Thompson?
Look, anytime, I remember when I used to drop Kai off at the school, in his elementary school, anytime I saw like a male between the age of like 25 and 40 there as a teacher or and this is totally wrong. I'm not saying this is right at all. I feel like this is bad to do, but I would just be mad suspicious. He'd be like, hey, there goes Mr. And I don't know what. There goes Mr. Dan. And I'm just like, how's Mr. Dan at school? I'd like to ask him outright, like about Mr. Dan. How, what does he do? Do you guys like hang out alone ever or blah, blah, blah? Just to check, because that's my job, I guess. But I'm always just like wary of like.
What if Mr. Dan was mad successful? What if Mr. Dan had 2 great boy bands, and then Kai's like, I want to be in a boy band.
And I would trust him, of course.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's that level, but I would look at him only in hindsight and be like, that guy seems like priesty.
Well, it's pretty easy to do it in hindsight.
Right.
But if somebody's successful and they're saying they can make somebody
it's okay for them to play with your balls,
then it is never okay for anybody that you don't want to play with your balls to play with your balls. Then I would trust them, but hopefully I would have established enough relationship with my child to like not have that happen. But
that's a crazy thing you just said that about the relationship. We're gonna see that there was a lot of disconnect with the relationships in the boy bands with their family.
Yeah, man.
And maybe that's what allowed Lou Pearlman to kind of sneak in. I mean, the way he set up their contracts, he was the 6th member of the groups. because I think there was 5 members, right? Of 4 or 5, and he would be the 5th or the 6th member. Now he's not out there busting moves and at rehearsal, but he's out there negotiating deals and stuff like that. So that's how he spinned it to the boy bands and their parents. We're well, you're not going to pay me for a management. Typically you probably pay 10 or 20% of what you're making to the manager, and then you'd have a booking agent and a marketer and a publicist. Lou Pearlman's going to take care of all that, but I want to make the same amount of money as you guys make as the 6th or 5th member of the group. So kind of smart in a way, absolutely smart, right? But very conny. We're going to see. Okay. If he would have just stuck to being a good dude and just being the 6th member, we'd probably still be listening to NSYNC. Or we would see, I think, he would have created it. You don't just strike lightning twice.
I don't hear NSYNC songs anymore. Why not?
I don't know. Well, Backstreet, they had a resurgence. It's not as big as it was, but they got together and they toured.
I think it's the corniest shit ever. No, games with my heart, cause it's the only one I got. Don't go breaking my heart, cause it's the only one I got, or some shit like that. That's their new song. I was like, yo, this song sucks and is awesome at the same time.
So, and there's a fan base there. It's not as
they went on GMA and the whole 9. They got the public still popping.
Those probably the anchors on GMA.
Everybody's on
fans.
there, sober looking. Remember that one guy used to get lit. The dude, he had like the crazy beard.
He's from Orlando. I think I know who you're talking about.
That guy,
the bad boy.
These guys get lit up, Christmas tree style, boy. I loved it, and I was old enough to know what was going
on.
Is it Fatone?
I think so, because I that's another guy I used to see driving around Orlando in his drop top.
There's the other guy too, right? Here, it's like another guy. Shazay? Is Shazay? No,
I don't know.
Again, not for me.
Well, Kimberly, give us some facts about Lou Pearlman.
Louis J. Pearlman, born June 19, 1954, was an American record producer, con artist, and fraudster. He was the manager of successful 1990s boy bands such as Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. In 2006, he was accused of running one of the largest and longest-running Ponzi schemes in history, leaving more than $300 million in debts. After being apprehended, he pleaded guilty to conspiracy, money laundering, and making false statements during a bankruptcy proceeding. In 2008, Pearlman was convicted and sentenced to up to 25 years in prison. He died in federal custody in 2016. Lou Pearlman was born and raised in Flushing, New York, the only child of Jewish parents, Hy Pearlman, who ran a dry cleaning business, and Reini Pearlman, a school lunchroom aide. He was a first cousin of the musician Art Garfunkel. Pearlman's home at Mitchell Gardens Apartments was located across from Flushing Airport, where he and childhood friend Alan Gross would watch blimps take off and land. According to his autobiography, Bands, Brands, and Billions, it was during this period that he used his position on his school newspaper to earn credentials and get his first ride in a blimp. This is disputed by Gross, who claims he was the school reporter, and allowed Pearlman to tag along. Garfunkel's fame and wealth helped inspire Pearlman's own interest in the music business. As a teenager he managed a band, but when success in music proved elusive, he turned his attention to aviation. During his first year as a student at Queens College, Pearlman wrote a business plan for a class project based on the idea of a helicopter taxi service in New York City. By the late 1970s, he had launched the business based on his business plan, starting with one helicopter. He persuaded German businessman Theodor Uhlenkemper to train him on blimps and subsequently spent some time at Uhlenkemper's facilities in West Germany learning about the airships. Returning to the U.S., Pearlman formed Airship Enterprises Ltd., which leased a blimp to Jordache before actually owning one. Wow. He used the funds from Jordache to construct a blimp, which promptly crashed. The two parties sued each other, and 7 years later Pearlman was awarded $2.5 million in damages. On the advice of a friend, Pearlman started a new company, Airship International.
Yo, that was his first fucking flip right there.
Yeah, well...
He said, I got a blimp. I need money, though, for something. To build the blimp? No, I need money for it. So he builds the blimp. The blimp he built crashes. He goes to fucking court for 7 years, and he gets $2.5 million.
Yeah. And we're going to see that this was all strategically
Holy crap.
Put together by him so that he could, flip into millions.
He already did it once. Is that sounds so complicated, and it worked.
But it's con artists. It was a con at the end.
So how old was he at that point?
I think he was in like his late 20s, early 30s.
Damn, I'm slipping. He made $2.5 million out of thin air.
It wasn't out of thin air. We're gonna find out that it was his first Ponzi scheme.
Okay.
Because he bought originally the blimp for $10,000, and it was an old used blimp, and he knew it was gonna crash. So he convinced Jordache, because he basically got inspired by the Goodyear blimp, and he's like, man, if I can just team up with a big corporation and get them to pay the money. So he did. He teamed up with Jordache, which was like a popular jeans brand at the time. Yeah. So he's like, oh, yeah, I got a blimp. This is my thing. I own an aviation company. So Jordache is like, fine. Cuts him a check. He knew that $10,000 blimp was going to crash, so he insured it for $3 million. And when the blimp crashed, he had to go to court for 7 years. And I think the documentary we're going to watch is even less. It might have not even been 7 years. And he got close to $3 million from it. So this is, I think, where he started learning. Not even before then, they said that he owned a paper route, supposedly. And he told everybody that he had employees. I mean, ever since he was little, he was kind of conning people into liking him. Because his friend, the guy that he's talking about, said that he was a fat kid and people would make fun of him. So I think that's when he started coming up with the con artist skills, or at least developing those skills, those social behaviors on how to get people to like him. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So even the Garfunkel thing, people thought that he didn't know Garfunkel because at the time it was a popular band, but he showed up to his birthday. So it's all these things he's lying, but then he comes through sometimes.
Crazy is true.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Taking it public to raise the $3 million he needed to purchase a blimp, claiming, falsely, that he had a partnership with Woolen Kemper. He leased the blimp to McDonald's for advertising. Pearlman then relocated Airship International to Orlando, Florida in July 1991, where he signed MetLife and SeaWorld as clients for his blimps. Airship International suffered when one of its clients left and 3 of the aircraft crashed. The company's stock, which had once been pumped up to $6 a share, dropped to a price of 3 cents a share, and the company was shut down. After he took his air charter company, Airship International, public in 1985, Pearlman became personally and professionally close to Jerome Rosen, a partner at small-cap trading outfit Norbay Securities. Based in Bayside, Queens, and frequently in trouble with regulators, Norbay actively traded Airship stock. This sent Airship's stock price consistently higher, enabling Pearlman to sell hundreds of thousands of shares and warrants at ever higher prices. However, Airship was reporting little revenue, cash flow, or net income. In return for keeping his penny stock liquid, Pearlman allegedly paid Rosen handsome commissions, according to a mutual friend, that reached into the tens of thousands of dollars per trade. Pearlman became fascinated with the success of the New Kids on the Block, who had made hundreds of millions of dollars in record, tour, and merchandise sales. He started Transcontinental Records with the intent of mimicking their boy band business model. The record label's first band, the Backstreet Boys, consisted of 5 unknown performers selected by Pearlman in a $3 million talent search. Management duties were assigned to a former New Kids on the Block manager, Johnny Wright, and his wife Donna. The Backstreet Boys became the best-selling boy band of all time, with record sales of 130 million hitting gold, platinum, and diamond in 45 different countries. Pearlman and the Wrights then repeated this formula almost exactly with the band NSYNC, which sold over 70 million records globally. With these 2 major successes under his belt, Pearlman had become a music mogul. Other boy bands managed by Pearlman were Otown, created during the ABC MTV reality television series Making the Band, LFO, Take 5, Natural and US5, as well as the girl group Innocence, with Britney Spears in the very beginning as a short-term member, CO managed with Lynn Harless, the mother of NSYNC band member Justin Timberlake. Other artists on the Transcontinental label included Aaron Carter, Jordan Knight, Smilez and
That's a crazy motherfucker, Aaron Carter.
Pearlman also owned a large entertainment complex in Orlando, including a recording studio he called Transcontinental Studios, and a dance studio near Disney World named Otown. In 2002, Pearlman and Wes Smith CO wrote Bands, Brands, and Billions, My Top 10 Rules for Making Any Business Go Platinum. With the exception of US5, all of the musical acts that worked with Pearlman sued him in federal court for misrepresentation and fraud. All cases against Pearlman either have been won by those who have brought lawsuits against him or have been settled out of court. The members of Backstreet Boys were the first to file a lawsuit against Pearlman, feeling that their contract under which Pearlman collected as both manager and producer was unfair, because Pearlman was also paid as a 6th member of the Backstreet Boys, e.g., 1/6 of the band's own income. The band's dissatisfaction began when member Brian Littrell hired a lawyer to determine why the group had received only $300,000 for all of their work while Pearlman and his record label had made millions.
Shit.
Fellow boy band NSYNC was having similar issues with Pearlman, and its members soon followed suit. At the age of 14, Aaron Carter filed a lawsuit in 2002 that accused Pearlman and Transcontinental of cheating him out of hundreds of thousands of dollars and of racketeering in a deliberate pattern of criminal activity. This suit was later settled out of court. In 2006, investigators discovered Pearlman had perpetrated a long-running Ponzi scheme that defrauded investors out of more than $300 million. For more than 20 years, Pearlman had enticed individuals and banks to invest in Transcontinental Airlines Travel Services Incorporated and Transcontinental Airlines Incorporated, both of which existed only on paper. Pearlman used falsified Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation (AIG) and Lloyd's of London documents to win investors' confidence in his program titled Employee Investment Savings Account, and he used fake financial statements created by the fictitious accounting firm Cohen & Siegel to secure bank loans. In February 2007, Florida regulators announced that Pearlman's Transcontinental Savings Program was indeed a massive fraud, and the state took possession of the company. Most of the at least $95 million which was collected from investors was gone. Orange County Circuit Judge Rene Roche ordered Pearlman and two of his associates, Robert Fischetti and Michael Cradell, to bring back to the United States any assets taken abroad which were derived from illegal transactions. Following a flight from officials, over the course of which he reportedly had been seen in Israel and Germany, Pearlman was arrested in Indonesia on June 14, 2007 after being spotted by a tourist couple from Germany. He was living in a tourist hotel in Nusa Dua in Bali.
You're famous, bro. You can't be
Pearlman had been
hiding.
seen in Orlando in late January 2007, in early February in Germany, including an appearance on German television on February 1. Reportedly he was seen in Russia, Belarus, Israel, Spain, Panama, and Brazil. In early February, an attorney in Florida received a letter from Pearlman sent from Bali. Pearlman was then indicted by a federal grand jury on June 27, 2007. Specifically, Pearlman was charged with 3 counts of bank fraud, 1 count of mail fraud and 1 count of wire fraud. 5 days before his sentencing, Pearlman requested a telephone and an internet connection 2 days a week to continue to promote bands. U.S. District Judge G. Kendall Sharp rejected the request. On May 21, 2008, Sharp sentenced Pearlman to 25 years in prison on charges of conspiracy, money laundering, and making false statements during a bankruptcy proceeding. Pearlman could reduce his prison time by 1 month for every $1 million he helped a bankruptcy trustee recover. He also ordered individual investors to be paid before institutions in distributing any eventual assets.
If he can make $1 million, he can get a month off his 25 years.
Good. Should have been days. You know what I'm saying?
That's so much money, and it's not like the guy wasn't making any money. It's not like a Bernie Madoff where he's just, is what it is, right? Sociopath, narcissist.
Child molester.
Well, the child molester allegations are not corroborated by a lot of people. It was only basically one person. There was a lot of rumor about Aaron Carter, but there was a documentary that I can't play because it's YouTube original that I was watching, and Aaron came out and said, no, he never touched me. There's only one member from the band called LFO that actually said that he didn't necessarily touch him, but he was basically, he came to LFO and said, hey, you guys are not successful, so I have this record label that wants to sign you in Germany. Here's a catch, though. The guy that runs the record label is gay, and he wants to play with all y'all's dicks. So, I know you guys don't really like that type of stuff, so you guys are going to play with my dick, and I'm going to train you how to play with dicks, because he said, I have a minor in psychology, and therefore, you'll be ready to play with this guy's dick when you guys go to Germany.
That's what one guy said?
On Howard Stern, which I'll play in a little bit. So, but he was never actually
That's convicted. Weird, because I always thought he was a child molester.
So did I, because he was a fat guy. He's like around all these boys. There's a lot of rumor about it, but there was no real evidence.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and none of the famous Backstreet Boys, not even Lance Bass, which was the gay one, he didn't say anything. He said that, he would do little things like, he's like, I also have a minor in physical therapy. So if you guys want to get your muscles all percolated.
A little shoulder rub.
No, like straight chest rubbage, but, not really a lot of pee-pee play. So who knows? Who knows? All right, this is American Greed. Don't sue me, bro. All right, if you guys watch Meet Kevin on YouTube, you know about Don't Sue Me, bro. I'm just using this to create other content, all right?
In this episode of American Greed, Lou Pearlman, legendary manager of boy bands like NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, king of an entertainment empire, that crumbles.
You're working all the time, and to see nothing come out of it was just really hard for us.
But Pearlman makes history for another reason.
Making our lives a hell.
He's the mastermind behind a $500 million scam.
He was a calculating, manipulative scumbag.
He wiped me out.
Can I just say, Jewish people have like the coolest names, like Pearlman, Goldstein, like
the names.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Africans.
By the turn of the century, the boy band craze is in full swing. The Backstreet Boys and NSYNC tallied dozens of Billboard hits and $1 billion in sales.
Damn.
Becoming two of the biggest pop groups of all time. The brains behind the
Of
band
all
is
time.
entertainment mogul Lou Pearlman.
This is the first gift
Right,
I
but this
got
was
from
made
NSYNC.
before
Nice money clip.
One Direction and
Problem is they got too small
that
to hold
K-pop
on.
band that's out now.
Oh yeah, K-pop's
He has a
killing
fleet
it.
of luxury cars.
I drive this, I drive this, I drive my Escalade, I ride in the back of my limo.
A $12.5 million mansion and 58 companies, including a restaurant, jewelry store, record label, and airline.
This is my new jet. Love it.
Lou Pearlman
Love my
loves
new jet.
money, and he'll do anything to get it. His charm and persuasion allows him to con hundreds of millions of dollars from the wealthy, the trusting, and the dreamers. It all begins in Queens, New York, where even as a kid, Pearlman is obsessed with money and music. Maybe it's his early exposure to the huge success of his first cousin, Art Garfunkel. Little Louis Pearlman wants a piece of his cousin's fame and fortune. He even finds a way to turn his guitar lessons into a quick buck.
I think the lessons at the time were $5. But Lou, being the entrepreneurial gentleman that he was, he would get some of the younger kids in the neighborhood to get lessons from him after he came back. So he would repeat the lesson he learned that day, and he would charge each of these kids the same $5 that his mom would give him for the lesson. So even back then, taking lessons, he was making money.
In his teens, Pearlman does odd jobs at the airport for the Goodyear blimp. He becomes fascinated with blimps, and in college, learns how to turn his passion into profit. In 1978, he forms an outdoor advertising business where companies place their logos on the sides of his blimps. He scores a big client, Jordache Jeans.
You look so happy in that
Can't deliver
picture.
the blimp he promises, so he buys some cheap parts and slaps together a fake.
Lou said to himself, hey, looks enough like a blimp. If I build some new fins and gondola, perhaps I could fool somebody.
On October 8, 1980, the Jordache blimp makes its maiden voyage, travels less than a mile, and crashes into a nearby garbage dump. The crash makes local news.
When the strange craft left its
That was
New Jersey
fortunate.
moorings this morning, it ran
It's
afoul
already
of
in the-
gusting wind.
It's already in the dump. You ain't gotta take it anywhere. You just leave it there, right?
Yo, what a home run.
You don't need to go.
We ended up with
You save
nothing
money on
like
that,
the
too.
Jordache look.
Laced across the pine trees, the ship's helium bag, painted with $50,000 worth of real gold, looks real bad.
After the crash, the 26-year-old entrepreneur learns that he's not much of a blimp builder, but he's one heck of a rainmaker.
Lou had a passion
Is that like in a strip club?
for blimps, but his genius was for raising money.
Pearlman wants to get rich quick and decides to take his airship company public. He still has no blimp, but uses his expert salesmanship to get one. He rounds up his family and friends and pitches his idea in a private meeting.
Lou actually managed, in a bit of Wall Street lore, to get a bunch of prospective investors into a high floor on a Wall Street skyscraper. And he dramatically opened the curtains at one point to show them, voila, here's the blimp that I want to buy. And everybody was so excited about it, they ultimately gave him the money.
In 1985, his company Airship International goes public, netting Pearlman $3 million. Now he has a blimp and a bunch of backers, and uses his master salesmanship to charm his way into the Golden Arches.
1, 2, 3.
McDonald's signs on Airship International to fly their newborn McBlimp.
Are you getting all this? Because he's moving with me.
Lou Pearlman is flying high.
Where would you ultimately like to be with this company?
Well, I can envision having a dozen or so blimps eventually in the United States flying around, as well as entering other markets such as the Orient, Australia, Europe. When people look up, they
The Orient. The times it was.
Never forget for the rest of their life seeing a blimp or its sponsor.
Meanwhile, Airship signs other big clients, and Pearlman is reaping the benefits.
He became a millionaire. He had offices on Fifth Avenue.
Despite the success, Pearlman is hungry for more. He ditches the blimps and walks away with sights set on a much more lucrative venture.
Oh, shit.
A more unlikely transition you can't imagine. The idea of a guy whose entire career has been in blimps.
Don't go breaking my heart, breaking my heart.
Not only the entertainment business,
because it's the only one I got. That's how it goes.
Angle of entertainment known as the
It's
boy
funny
band.
because Quit Playing Games with My Heart, isn't that the same song? They're the Backstreet Boys, right? So
Yeah.
they made the same song during their comeback.
Maybe.
Quit playing games with my heart. Don't go breaking my heart, breaking my heart. I guess it's a little different, but it's basically the same song. So even in the resurgence, nah, bro. Can't be.
What's easy and ready to go? Sometimes you gotta go.
Microwave ass meals.
American greed. Pearlman uses his boy band success as bait for a scam.
Yeah, man. They were popular for sure.
Looking at the airship, you'll notice the name painted
Is this
on
the
the
only
side.
one I got?
Goodwill Aerial Ambassador. One McDonald's Corporation.
For Lou Pearlman, the sky's hardly the limit. After dabbling in the blimp business for a few years, he's hard at work in Orlando, Florida, building a chartered aircraft company called Transcontinental Airlines. But sailing the sky doesn't hold a candle to the stars in Lou's eyes. Pearlman's always had a passion for entertainment. He finds his muse when he meets new kids on the block.
When Lou moved to Florida and put Airship in new offices, it was clearly a transitional time, and he thought, it's now or never. Let's make it go. And in his case, the idea that he and associates came up with was a boy band.
Yo, the smile on that guy.
This motherfucker's unhealthy at 8 years old and never stopped being more unhealthy. Every year,
Pearlman
worse
wants
and
to
worse.
get in on the boy band craze. In 1993, Pearlman expands the Transcon umbrella and creates a record label. He places an ad in the Orlando paper and holds auditions in his blimp hangar.
Disney and the theme parks are full of those guys, and everybody threw off their goofy heads and their Dumbo ears, and everybody congregated at a blimp hangar in Kissimmee.
Pearlman assembles his favorite 5 and names them the Backstreet Boys. Now he needs a manager with real entertainment experience, and Pearlman knows just who to call.
I wanted to check it out. Wanted to see what it was all about. And I got hooked quick.
Donna Wright owns Wright Stuff Management. Her husband, Johnny Wright, recently helped New Kids on the Block go triple platinum and gross more than $1 billion in sales. It takes some convincing, but Wright agrees to meet with Pearlman at the Transcon office.
I got there and he was on the phone, of course. It's kind of rude. And he finally talked to me. And they showed me a video of the boys, and the hair on the back of my neck stood up. So I just felt, wow, this is something I want to get involved in.
Donna and Johnny Wright sign the boys and soon embark on a massive European tour. The Backstreet Boys are an instant success, and the girls in Europe can't get enough.
They were nuts. I mean, they were chasing buses, the girls were sneaking on the buses, they were hiding on the buses.
The Backstreet Boys earned their first gold record in Germany.
Very first gold record. We were all so proud. I don't think my feet touched the ground. I was just so excited that this was happening.
To Pearlman, screaming fans and gold records mean money. In 1995, he forms another boy band, this one headed by 14-year-old Justin Timberlake. NSYNC quickly climbs to the top of the charts. The Backstreet Boys and NSYNC sell millions of records, becoming worldwide sensations. And Pearlman is eating it up.
Lou just wanted to be famous. He loved the limelight. That's what his life was all about, just being in the limelight.
Are you ready? Pearlman loves being front and center, and his stage is Transcontinental, a fast-growing umbrella company with dozens of subsidiaries that span everything from music to food to aircraft. In just a few short years, Pearlman buys the male dance troupe Chippendales, and a string of...
All right, that's when he knew that he was a fruit ball.
A what?
A fruit ball?
What's that?
Because he's like chubby and he likes fruit.
Okay.
TCBY yogurt stores. Building an empire of this magnitude costs money, and Pearlman hits some heavy investors, like retired freight industry executive David Mathis.
He would pick us up at the airport in a Rolls Royce. He would take us to his steakhouse, which was called Pearl Steakhouse. He wined and dined me, and it was exciting. And not only myself, but the other investors that came down with me. We would be driven around in a bus, which on the side said Backstreet Boys. So when the door opened, we had kids all over the place. And the only thing coming out of there was us old guys.
Lou had always had the power of persuasion, but now that he had Backstreet Boys, he could point to success. He didn't just have to talk it, and it was tremendously intoxicating for,
talk it like I
especially
walk
for a
it.
strata of Midwesterners and suburban New Yorkers who had a lot of money but had no entree into the glitz that they found so appealing, and they got it with Lou.
In Orlando, Mathis is treated like a king, and Pearlman's investment program sounds like a sure hit.
You think if the Migos had choreographed moves, they wouldn't be as popular?
I think they'd be more popular.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Versace would have been like, quit playing games with my heart?
No, it'd still be Versace, but it'd be more toward the culture, so people will still accept it. And I think it'd be that much different. I think they'd be bigger because it'd be so different. There'd be a rap trio that
would
dances.
the Backstreet Boy be more legendary if there were 5 black guys? Did
If
the whiteness
music was the same? If the music is what the problem was, that people didn't like. They didn't like the music. Like people like me.
Yeah.
You know? That was the issue. So it's not, again, they're singing the songs well most of the time.
Yeah.
But
I just think the whiteness, it's like
the
not
dancing
having
wasn't
enough like spice.
They hit the dance move, but it wasn't like, wow. You know?
Yeah.
But I assume the dances would be the same for the Migos because they're not dancers either.
Yeah.
But Offset recently did, and everybody, he got a really big response.
He was in a Janet Jackson video too when he was little.
Yeah, as a little kid. But he got a big response from that choreographed. So I think they'd be bigger.
Hit. Any money Mathis invests will earn 10% interest, and Pearlman says the company is about to go public.
And we were actually guaranteed 8 to 10 times our money back on opening day. So I couldn't go wrong.
Everything checks out, and Mathis wants in.
Everything looked really great. So the outcome was I invested in Transcontinental Airlines.
Over the next 13 years, Mathis invests millions of dollars with Pearlman. Statements from Pearlman's accounting firm show Transcontinental Airlines has 47 planes and nearly $80 million in sales. What Mathis doesn't know is that Pearlman has only one plane, and Transcon Airlines is in essence a shell company.
Damn.
There was no aircraft leasing company. It was a figment of Lou Pearlman's imagination. But it was the big lie theory. Tell people a lie so big you can't believe it's a lie, and everybody will just take you at face value.
Based on the success of the boy bands, Mathis thinks Pearlman's a solid businessman and will make good on his promise for a public offering. And when the parent company, Transcontinental, goes public, Mathis stands to make some serious
you can't tell me that's good. Like, you can't tell me that's good music.
Pot of gold.
Yeah, like nobody in the crowd was moving. They're just like
ba da ba da ba 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 da ba. Anyway.
And since we saw the bands, we felt this was definitely a legitimate business that Lou was doing.
Mathis begins attending annual stockholder meetings either at TransCon's offices or at Pearlman's sprawling mansion in the ritzy suburb of Windermere.
He had 2 Rolls Royces out there, an Escalade, Mercedes-Benz, a big pool. I believe his home was about 25,000 square feet.
David Mathis is one of more than 100 investors around the world who have put a total of nearly $13 million into Transcontinental. For the time being, they're as fat and happy as Lou Pearlman.
Ooh, burn Lou Pearlman.
He was kind of a hype man. Like, he built everything up, and then you would realize that 10% of it was true.
When American greed returns, Pearlman's boy bands revolt and members speak out.
All right, welcome to my home. And it's great to be living life.
By the mid-90s, Lou Pearlman grows Transcontinental, his modest aircraft leasing company, into a billion-dollar empire. And the perks are nice, too.
This is a refurbished antique Louis XIV bed. Matches my first name.
He refurbished a Louis XIV bed
also, it leads
and
to
put it in his
pool.
house.
Based in Orlando, Florida,
Goddamn.
Pearlman is into everything, from planes to food to entertainment.
I have a Lamontra Mall by Salvador Dali. This
He had a
is
Dali.
$250,000 Rolex. This is my nice stereo system.
But Pearlman's most prized possession is his multi-platinum boy bands, the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and his newest project, Take 5.
The members of Take 5 join us from St. Louis this morning where they're on.
I don't remember them at all.
Good morning. Thanks for being
I remember
with
the
us.
name.
It's all smiles for the camera.
Remember the name being
But behind
ironic.
the scenes, Lou's boy bands begin to
Because
think the
Take
man
5
they
means
call
to
Big
like
Papa
don't take a break.
is a big.
You know?
Oh, so is it take a break from other boy bands and check us out?
Or just take a break from being
From
a
the
boy
other
band.
boy
It's
band.
like immediately it's self-defeating. It really is.
Thief.
The name of our band is to not do stuff.
Or take 5 of our penises.
Allegedly.
There were many times throughout recording and touring that we would stop and say, something's not right. Something seems off. Why haven't we seen anything? Why don't we have money?
For 3 years, Take 5 earns millions from touring,
Oh, damn.
endorsements, and record sales.
I didn't even know who they were. They're
Boys are
making
hardly
millions.
living it up.
In the beginning, I was getting paid $500 a month. And at the end, I mean, when we were touring for years and selling merchandise and doing all that stuff, performing to huge crowds overseas, I was getting $2,000 a month.
When the boys voice their concerns to Big Papa, he lays on the...
I mean, it's better than working at McDonald's.
A month, though?
$2,000 a month's a good check. That's like $16 an hour. That's a good check, bro. You traveling, most everything gets taken care of, plane, everything, and you're still getting $2,000 a month. I mean,
where are you living at?
Obviously, Lou Pearlman's making the majority of that. But if you're just like a no-name kid and he puts you on, there's already 2 successful bands. They already made it, so your platform is pretty much set for you.
3 years?
$2,000 a month is good wage, bro. For you to just go,
Nah, it's a super hard job, bro.
I'm not saying it's an easy job, but scrubbing.
It's
listen.
It's
cleaning
exponentially
ladies,
harder than
ladies
being
is scrubbing shitty ass toilets.
That's a shitty job, but that's
Hey.
a hard job. It's a shitty job. How
lady-
hard is it to clean toilets? It's
All right,
shitty to clean
let's break it
toilets for
down.
sure.
So you're working at the Marriott World Center, all right?
Okay.
You're 18 years old.
Okay.
All right. You're getting paid $9 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You know that building is making millions of dollars in reservations and stuff like that. Now, if you don't get into that room and change that light bulb and plunge that toilet, all right, and make sure that everything is satisfactory and working, they're not going to be able to book those rooms. But you don't see that $1 million check. You see that $10 an hour check. So I was making like $1,500 a month. Okay. Now, I wasn't on stage traveling the world, getting bitches licking my balls every 10 seconds, getting notoriety,
Or
getting
dudes.
fame. Yeah, all that, right?
Dogs.
All that.
Cockatoos.
I am plunging a toilet.
Yeah.
And you're making more money than me. $2,000 is good amount of money.
What is the difficulty level of plunging a toilet?
I gotta climb upstairs. I gotta
walk
get
upstairs.
the plunger.
It's a stair. It's not a ladder. There's elevators.
I might have to get up in a ladder to change a bulb.
Okay. 6 feet in the air, changing the bulb. How hard is it to do that? It's a shitty job. Like, it's a job no one really wants to do because it's just manual labor and stuff like that. But it's not. There's the difficulty level. The stress level isn't that high necessarily.
It's a lot easier to be in a boy band.
I don't think so, bro. I don't think constantly getting on and off of planes, getting in and out of hotels, your diet's bad, your sleep cycle's terrible.
There's girls hiding underneath your bed before you get there. Which
ultimately is also bad because you're not getting any sleep. All you're doing is fucking, and you need to be getting your proper rest and your nutrition, or you're gonna be sick. You're gonna be
I'm a strip this paint in this room and have to wear a mask and possibly get some type of contaminant.
That's super bad. Yeah, but
I'm only gonna get $1,500 a month.
If you're stripping paint every day and you're only getting $1,500 a month, if that's all you're doing, is it your job?
If you're just a cute little white boy that some fat guy threw you in a band and now you got lucky enough.
I think it's a hard job. I think it's a harder job than being a maid or.
You think so?
I think so. Nah. I think traveling the world, performing every day, I think is more stressful and hard job.
Nah, bro. I think to scrub somebody's toilet
mere fact
every day.
You're going from place to place to place to place, and you're not
going from toilet to toilet to toilet to toilet.
You're in the same place. You go home every night. You go to sleep. You see your fam, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that security of going to the same bed every night and getting the proper amount of sleep and eating the proper amount of food is better for your health than traveling the world that amount of time and partying, making it worse for yourself. And not sleeping because you're having sex and orgies or whatever.
Yeah, but the cleaning lady and the maintenance guy was having sex and partying.
It's more fun to be that. It's like better, whatever. Right. It's better, but it's not easier. I don't think it's easier.
I think if you put a kid and you put him in front of the Marriott or a tour bus, he's going to choose a tour bus.
He's going to choose a tour.
Let me get the $2,000.
It's more fun. Yes, but the original thing you said was that it's harder and that they should get paid more, or you know what I mean. It's a good wage for doing that.
Work at
you said
a circus.
That $2,000 a month is a good wage for doing that job.
Yeah,
especially not if you get $1,500 for doing the other job. To me, you should at least double that.
Yeah, but if you're not really involved in the selling of the records and
you are the record, you sang the song, you dance it badly or whatever, but
somebody else is writing it and producing
somebody else is writing, but you're out there performing it. You're putting your body through all of that stuff.
I mean, people play college football for nothing,
and that's changing too because that's wrong. That's also changing currently because that's wrong.
I just think that complaining about $2,000.
That's just like saying that you're saying the same thing. It's like, well, at least you're playing football and getting a free education, but you're putting your life in danger.
Yeah,
and and these people are making exponential more amount of money.
That's why I think $2,000 is acceptable.
No, I don't think so, man.
I'm on Pearlman's side for this one.
That's why they're so mad because
not on the side where he might be like.
They sued his ass because of bullshit.
On the left hand side.
What's on the left-hand side?
I don't know. I'm just hopefully he's not left-handed.
The threats.
You were a little intimidated of getting the rug pulled out from under you. I mean, he would say, I could get 5 other guys. I own the rights to your name. I'll get 5 other guys and just plug them right in.
I don't even know what your face looks like.
It's more a testament to how terrible the music is.
Legal action. So Pearlman hires a team of lawyers and goes on the offensive.
That was one of Lou's tactics, was to run up legal expenses, and we obviously didn't have the money to go toe-to-toe with Lou. We never got paid anything that we were owed, so how would we have money to go after? And I mean, that was part of his whole thing. If he never paid you, you couldn't find out how much you
Now he works maintenance at the Marriott.
The group is never able to build a strong case against Pearlman and eventually disbands.
Have a safe trip home, and thank you so much.
But Lou's boy band problems are far from over.
And once again,
this is our new single. It's entitled As Long As You Love Me, and it's coming out this month, so check it out.
In 1997, the Backstreet Boys wrap their European tour and make an explosive return to the States. They become one of the most successful debut artists
Long
in the world.
as you love
Their
me,
manager, Donna
who
Wright,
you
can't seem to
are,
figure out where all
where
the money
you're from,
I never really saw
what
any of
you
their finances.
did.
It was very, very
Man, that's a lot of stuff, bro.
that.
You don't care where
One
I came
day
from
snuck
or what I
around
did,
trying to
as
look
long as
around
I love
to see
you.
what I could find, but
What if
they
I
kept everything under lock and key.
did a bunch of bad shit?
Backstreet is bringing in millions, and Lou Pearlman is
Making that
taking
money.
most of it.
How much is that guitar player getting paid for touring? Nothing.
Hopefully the right amount of money.
Nothing. He's just chilling there. You never remember Tyrone.
Why is this Tyrone?
All right, maybe it's
David.
Jamal. Could be Jamal.
He could be David.
Could be Michael.
Could be Curtis.
Curtis.
Could be Jamal.
I'll go Curtis.
Curtis? I like Curtis.
I like Curtis better.
First, I went to the parents, and I told the parents. I said, I really think
This
he's
is
ripping
the
them
most
off. This
Florida
contract is
pool ever.
absolutely ridiculous.
Backstreet Boys attorney Clay Townsend.
When they signed contracts in '93, they were young, unsophisticated men. Their parents didn't have counsel. They hadn't been through anything like this before. And the experience with Mr. Pearlman just
Sorry, we were out
Yo,
of
that's professional. You made that shit quick.
We were out of wine.
That was quick.
Go play. Sorry.
flim-flammery, if that's a word.
He called it flim-flammery.
The structure of the company.
What Pearlman's doing isn't illegal.
Was he a professional of anything? Was he a lawyer or something?
Yeah.
Fire that man immediately. Dare use the term flim-flammery to describe anything.
Yo, when people used to buy CDs at stores,
yeah.
can you buy CDs at stores anymore?
You can
Best Buy.
Like you can go to like Barnes and Noble. I'm not sure if is there like a remember that one store?
FYE.
FYE.
Yeah,
I was like FYI. No, FYE for your entertainment.
FYI. No, I think it's FYI.
And I know you can go to the public library and they have.
Oh yeah, hang out with the homeless people.
Well, downtown, yeah, for sure. Not over off of Edgewater. There's no homeless people over there. Just
30
prostitutes.
times what the boys are making. While a manager typically only draws from managing the band, Pearlman's dipping into record sales, touring, and merchandise.
It was like triple dipping. He was dipping into every single avenue of their revenue. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, he was the sixth Backstreet Boy.
In the contract, Pearlman is named as the sixth Backstreet Boy.
I wonder if there's
which
any
also
memes
entitles
or
him to a sixth
videos
of the
out there, somebody animating Pearlman in as the sixth member, and he's like doing.
Yo,
this
what
stuff.
if he came up with all the dance moves and songs and everything?
He didn't.
But if he did, would that give him a different value?
Yes.
Yeah.
If he actually wrote the songs and shit like that,
and came up with the dance moves,
that whole thing
at
would be
that
legendary.
weight, at that weight,
I would have conceded that he was legendary from the beginning, but just can't do it.
royalties that usually only the artist receives.
Obviously, he didn't get on stage and sing and dance. I think that would have been a very early end to the performance.
The boys
Yeah, that
missing
flim-flammery,
money.
huh?
Yo, this guy is relentless.
Townsend hits Pearlman with some tough questions.
What's going on? Where is the money? Why do we only have
Where's
this
the flim-flammery?
Dude, what kind of flim-flammery is happening?
Delays, obfuscation, never any straight talk.
Obfuscation?
What's going on?
What the fuck is that?
In 1998, Backstreet sues Pearlman and Transcontinental Records, alleging that he stole $10 million from them, while only giving them $300,000 of their earnings. Backstreet's lawsuit triggers similar legal action, a $25 million suit by Pearlman's other big boy band, NSYNC.
You know, you're working all the time, and to see nothing come out of it was just really hard for us.
In their lawsuits, NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys asked to be freed from Pearlman and their contracts with Transcon. Pearlman counters, claiming they still owe Transcon at least one more record. Both groups eventually settle out of court. What's the cost of freedom? In Backstreet's case, a $30 million payment to Pearlman to break their contract and wipe their hands clean of the man
that
they once
must have
called
fucking
Big
hurt,
Papa.
dog.
They were finished. Finally had enough.
I wonder if they had the money though.
Clean break.
Think they had the money?
But the break isn't as clean as they
I
think.
mean, they could probably get it from another record label, but that's what we're gonna find out. That the record label's just like, nah, you guys probably only got one left.
Yeah, because y'all are garbage.
Over the next several years, Pearlman continues to solicit new cash from starstruck investors.
They would be induced to invest into the umbrella organizations of Lou's, Transcontinental Airlines, these other bogus companies, thinking they were going to own a piece of NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys. They didn't at all.
One of Pearlman's investors, David Mathis, has been sharing the spotlight with Pearlman since 1994.
When I'd fly down to Orlando, no matter who was down there, he would introduce us. All the Backstreet Boys. I knew all the Backstreet Boys. I knew NSYNC. And it was exciting.
You met him.
But now that Pearlman's lawsuits are hitting the press, Mathis begins to worry. He calls Lou about his concerns.
Lou's answer was, all these bands had nothing until I started them. I invested $10 million in Backstreet before they made a penny. Now that they're doing well, now they want to sue me because I'm making too much money off of the band.
Lou calms Mathis and tells him not to worry. There are more boy bands on the way. Although his top 2 money streams have run dry, Pearlman's not about to throw in the towel. Coming up, Lou Pearlman launches a new scheme.
He was able to keep these disputes and settlements under the radar long enough for the money to keep pouring in.
Poor Lou. He's being sued right and left by his fleeting boy band. But the entertainment guru appears unfazed. Despite the brief rough patch of bad press, Pearlman remains a darling of the media.
So here we are. Lou Pearlman is a VIP.
City of Orlando, despite the litigation, which basically accused Lou of being a fraud and a cheat, still loved him. Rolled out the red carpet.
Yeah, because we didn't have anything.
City.
Pearlman puts on a good show.
We got sick of Disney.
Are we like that right now? Or are we better?
Out there, Lou Pearlman, the Mac.
What do you mean?
Well, not we, but Orlando.
What? Is it better?
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to be sad to say, I'm glad I'm adding a preface before I say this. But after 2 things, okay? Because after the Magic fell and Penny and Shaq left.
Dwight, too.
Yeah, we haven't really had like
Dwight was the next coming, but then didn't
it wasn't.
Do it. Didn't
when we got Orlando City Soccer, though, motherfuckers came together. Like, I haven't seen Orlando come together so much. Purple, like, things on the license plate, everything. And, sad but true, after the Pulse shooting.
Orlando United.
Yeah, it just seems like.
The unofficial gay capital or most welcoming gay city or something like that.
Other than San Francisco, yeah.
Right. Unofficial. That's what I mean, unofficial.
Yeah.
Is there officially? I don't know. Because San Francisco is generally, right?
Yeah, just because of all the, like...
political...
Yeah, like a lot... gay marriage, everything started in San Francisco, so... I think even, like, LGBTQ, AIA, whatever the last ones are.
What? There's
it's like LGBTQAI1
plus.
Well,
QQ, right?
I don't know, bro.
And then... Because it's queer and questioning, and then it's... A being asexual,
and then
is it indif? No, I don't know what the other one was.
There's
one where you're not interested in anything at all.
Right. Omnipresent.
That's
God.
That's God. Which I think he's included. Right?
Yeah. What if you feel like you're God? I'm omnipresent.
Well,
that's too much, right, Thompson? We can't identify as God.
Well, there's an argument that we're all God, and we have that God is the atom particle, and we're made up of atoms, so we're all gods in our own right. There's that argument.
Yeah, that's what Pearlman was thinking.
You can't. You can claim you're God, sure. I don't mind. I don't have a problem with that. Don't start trying to do God shit though, like
walk on water.
Well, you could do that. I mean, you might go in the water and you need to swim, but don't start like judging me or
resurrecting people.
Or like my children. Don't start touching people. That's all. Just don't start touching me and shit. Say what you want, but just don't start like getting in my zone because you feel like I'm doing something that you, God, doesn't agree with.
Yeah.
Because I'll fucking punch
I think that was Pearlman's mentality.
Yo,
he was the god of this
people have
boy
problems
band
keeping
shit.
that shit in context. I'd like to say I'd be fine if I got dumb rich. But who knows? I'm obviously into drinking alcohol. So, but I think at this point in my life, I'm pretty well grounded and I got
you're right.
Support system.
The more money you have,
the
more you're like, fuck it. Fuck
like that's that. What's that up? Nah. Wait until I get my money. You motherfuckers can't tell me nothing.
Yeah,
you can't tell me nothing because like I just would. Hopefully I wouldn't do that, but hopefully I'll be able to find out if I will. Because in life, who knows? I may be able to get rich.
Being broke definitely puts you in a humble state,
right? And then when you're not, hopefully you can stay in that. But enough like no's or obstacles, and you're just like, wait a minute, I'm rich as shit. I can just do this. But I've never wanted to do anything bad for other people.
That's why I went to Tekashi.
What? What do you mean?
The money.
He did anything for the money?
Well, he got the money and it went to his head.
Went to his head.
I got this powerful gang behind me. I seen another video clip of him in a club, and somebody's like talking shit to him, and he grabs a wad of money and just throws it at the guy's head. Why? Why would you do that? You could save that money. You could spend it on so much thing. You just dropped it on the guy's forehead. But you got so much money, you're gonna make that shit tomorrow.
Right. People don't see past the next corner, man. Especially when they feel like they're going to be rich forever. No one's going to be that popping forever.
That's what Pearlman thought he was going to be popping forever.
Nah, bro. Do better, Pearlman.
I mean, dude made it to an older age.
In prison.
Yeah, but I mean, still he made it to a certain age of like...
He had 20 years of good life.
I mean, he didn't go to jail until he was like in his 50s, so...
I'm saying he had 20 years of the good life.
Yeah.
When he was hustling.
He had less time in jail. I mean, it's kind of a good... like giveaway.
I mean, if somebody were to present that to you at the beginning and you didn't know anything, you'd be like, yo, you could have the craziest life, have sex with whoever you want, fucking make all the money in the world, private jets, but you're gonna die alone in prison. But you will only be in prison for
I mean, if a
couple of years, right? He didn't go
yeah,
to jail
he
for
wasn't
that
even,
long.
Nah. 2008 and he died in 2016.
Yeah. So the last 10 years of your life you're going to be in prison and then you're going to die alone in jail. But you'll have all this other stuff.
You have a lot of dick around you.
Well, we don't know, right?
I don't know. Maybe.
It's all rumor and conjecture.
He did buy the Chippendales, but he just could be into dancing.
No, it could be lucrative.
NSYNC and the Backstreet
True.
Boys is looking for 5 talented young men to form a new band.
In 1999, Pearlman approaches ABC with an idea for a new hit reality series, a show he calls Making the Band. With a TV show, a new group called Otown, and 2 other bands, LFO and Natural, it appears as if Pearlman is once again on the rise.
What's the difference between Lou Pearlman and P. Diddy?
I'm afraid to ask. What?
I mean, kind of the same dude, other than the fact that Diddy danced a little bit better.
They had a punchline. 'Cause I'm afraid to ask. What is it?
I mean, Diddy had a couple boy bands, the Locks.
Talent.
Is the Locks a boy band?
No, the Locks would not be considered a boy band. They're a rap group. Day 26 would be considered a boy band.
That's right.
They were also not.
What about the band?
The band would not be considered a boy band. They had girls in it, number one. And there were rappers and singers, and they wrote their own shit.
Dialogue.
It was easy. Dialogue. So no. Diddy had more soul, talent, integrity. Which
you're right. That No Way Out. If Pearlman had a No Way Out album, then we'd be arguing.
He doesn't have any. Aside from maybe Timberlake, he doesn't have any legendary offspring from his groups. Timberlake. That's it.
Aaron Carter.
Negative on the Aaron Carter.
I mean, he was like Bow Wow.
No.
Bow Wow's better than Aaron Carter?
Yes.
Okay.
And he's also off the deep end, seemingly.
Yeah.
Can't keep his childhood behind him. You know, he's just, but I would put Bow Wow at closer to a legendary status than an Aaron Carter.
What about Bieber and Aaron Carter?
Bieber's above Aaron Carter and above Pearlman and the NSYNC. And above Timberlake at that fucking.
Yeah.
Not for me personally, but like I would say in far
as that last album Timberlake dropped, Walking Through the Woods.
Yeah, man, he went to his Man in the Woods.
Yeah,
I'm from the country. Okay, I want everybody to know I'm from country. It's like, nah, where's Pharrell? Where's Timberlake? Where the beats at? You just worry about singing kind of pitchy and off key and just dance and do your thing. We're gonna just listen to these crazy beats and like transitions that the songs go through that are just so hard. It could be anybody, dog. But Timberlake does it well, so we accept it from him, I think. Then he goes to playing the guitar and shit, and it's like...
That happened to Lil Wayne.
What, that happened to Lil Wayne?
Remember he started playing the guitar?
It didn't like take anything away from it necessarily. He didn't like lose clout or something like that. He's still Lil Wayne. He started losing clout when he started losing his hair.
And drinking too much lean.
Yeah.
After that first epileptic shock, just
I don't know. Yeah.
Epilepsy, bro.
But, obviously he's legendary.
Show the way. Nice, very nice. They sing a lot better than I do.
To keep up with his boy band building and lavish spending, he needs new funding. Lucky for Pearlman, that's his specialty.
Clearly, Pearlman's real strength was the power to persuade people to open their wallets.
Pearlman has a new tactic, a phony investment
smiles like he's chewing his food.
called ESA, which stands for Employee Investment Savings Account. ESA, he says, is a safe retirement plan with an established company. Although the ESA plan is available to transcontinental employees, he's opening up to the public. 63-year-old Connie Caesar is wooed by Pearlman's boy band success.
And hearing the songs, from Backstreet, from NSYNC, they were great. They were great. I loved them.
Then what he did
all
was,
these people
once he
getting
had that
taken
success,
because of Backstreet
he
Boys.
used the celebrity he
I know
got
the reason
from
they're
that.
not legendary.
You've heard of me. I'm Lou Pearlman. I've made all this money. I've got all these bands. I'm a successful business person. So he's then morphed his
I like that sweater, though.
Sales pitch.
Handberg would be a really dope wrestler name.
Hamburg?
His name is Handberg.
Oh, yeah.
Lo, let me lay the Handberg down.
Go put a goddamn Hamburg all over you. To people to incorporate that aspect, which he never had before.
So we figured, well, he's
Oh, my God.
in a lot of things. He
It's
knows.
so bad.
He knows what he's doing. He's an intelligent man, supposedly.
Not supposedly. That bitch
So
smart as
we
hell.
thought we were lucky.
Created whole
Caesar
companies.
invests $250,000.
$300 million.
Everything he has. 73-year-old Air Force veteran John Spears is impressed by Pearlman's reputation and thinks
Duck
the
crossing.
ESA program sounds safe.
That's just weird as fuck,
It
dude.
was right there in black and white on the very official-looking form, and so I took them at their word.
Spears invests $290,000.
That's all his
into
shit.
the ESA program.
God, that's so
That's
sad.
when really the ESA program really took off, because it was almost at that point he teamed up with a number of agents and brokers and mass marketed it to people as a safe investment in an established company.
Over the next several years, Caesar, Spears, and more than 1,000 other retirees receive quarterly account statements showing good returns.
There was nothing there to let us question anything. And we didn't.
So they
Little
start
do
trying
they
to take
know
money
the
out.
statements are bogus, and their money, a total of $150 million, is being used as Pearlman's personal piggy bank.
It got spent. It got spent on the mansions. It got spent on the bands, especially, on promotion and marketing.
Pearlman's burning through money like wildfire. To keep up with his spending, he needs more cash and approaches a number of banks for loans.
Basically, what each bank would get would be a custom-made package of financial information that was designed to show that Lou Pearlman and Transcontinental Airlines were financially well off and had been so for some time.
50 banks clear Pearlman.
So he couldn't
for
have
the
been alone,
loans.
right? There's tons of people involved in this scheme. So how many people do you know?
Like a few thousand, because it was over 150 million. People would give a little bit here, a little bit there.
No. I'm saying like he couldn't have been the only person that knew he was doing.
There was three other people arrested.
That's a
with
pretty
him.
tight circle, I would say.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
I think one was handling the accounting and making sure that the paperwork was right, because people would have to get like statements every
They'd
month.
be dumb rich too. Is that how he got caught?
What do you mean? The people that helped him do the Ponzi? Yeah, they got money out of it. There's a lot of money that wasn't returned. That's like just he got the most years. The other guys didn't get that many years. And there's money stashed everywhere, bro.
Yeah, man.
Everywhere. I mean, there's a guy that my mom used to work for. He basically ran a real estate kind of scam where he was building all these properties and selling it to people in Europe, mostly England. And that dude ran up a $40 million thing, didn't go to jail one day.
Did you pay it back?
No, he just, because the way he structured it, he just got some fines and shit, but he basically got away with the money because he was like overselling the properties, but a lot of the investors were from out of the country, so it became like a civil matter. And this happens all the time. I think with Lou Pearlman's case, since he was such a recognizable character, and there were so many people, like older people, I think he got a couple powerful people involved, and that's what really took him to court, you know, because to be running a situation like this for not 5, 10, 20 years, you know, and have previous thing in the past, like what he did with the blimp, like he was constantly doing shit to rip people off and get away with it.
He was ripping his parents off, right? Or he would, what'd you say, he got money to do a lesson with the piano, and then he would take that lesson and teach it to somebody else.
That really wasn't ripping anybody off. I mean,
No,
he didn't
you're
give his parents the money, but I think he just suffered from wanting to be accepted
and be like out of the situation that he was in.
And also once he started getting a lot of money, it was just like more and more and more. Because you would think if you were successful with the boy band shit, why are you going to invent like the Issa shit and get people to, if that's not really your gig? Like at that point, you're just like
shit rich. Like he wants to be a billionaire, right? In his generation, try to become a billionaire in
by any means necessary.
Do people do that a lot? I can't imagine that happen.
It's happening right now.
A lot.
It's happening right now.
What?
Somebody's getting involved in some type of Ponzi scheme.
I'm saying, do people generally born poor or not rich and become a billionaire?
Yeah.
Like, does that happen often?
I think so. Maybe not billionaire, but
one lifetime.
Wealthy, yeah. There's not really that. I think there's only like 1,400 billionaires in the world. So it's not like a crazy number. And yeah, there's a percentage of those people that started with nothing and built their wealth. Look at Mark Cuban. Look at I mean, you could say Donald Trump, but his parents, they weren't billionaires, but they had money, and he kind of flipped that into billions.
He wasn't poor.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like one end of the spectrum to the other. Because Pearlman was poor.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I don't think he was. He was middle class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
His dad owned a dry cleaning business. His mother was a assistant in a cafeteria. So
right.
Wasn't rich.
Right.
But he was. I still consider that. I guess not.
And
poor.
Do you consider yourself poor?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, I'm not destitute.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're middle class.
I'm severely lower middle class. You know what I mean? I'm basically paycheck to paycheck. I'm one tragedy away from homelessness.
But you're collecting equity. You own a home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm on the the higher end of it. Again, I'm not destitute. That's different from being. But I'm not even well off. I'm not even middle class. You know, I feel like that's $100,000 household.
Think so?
Yeah. In this day and age, I think so. I'm just, like I said, I'm one tragedy away from homelessness. I'm one really bad month away from getting my credit fucked again. You know, I'm just starting to rebuild my credit. So I consider myself poor. I'm a working poor person, I think.
Yeah.
With benefits. I got a little something. Sometimes I can splurge on a little something.
I definitely feel the same way.
It's just not, you know.
Yeah, I can't go out and fucking, like, if I want to take a vacation next week, I can't do shit like that.
Got to plan it.
Yeah.
Got to save for it. And it's not like a vacation. It's like a budgeted Airbnb, $80 on dinner, you know.
Yeah.
Not like vacation like my parents take to who are I would consider middle class.
I guess because I have some tenants in my units that I noticed that they're not necessarily poor either, but they're definitely like less than I am. And that's because I have certain properties in like not middle class neighborhoods. So I would consider them poor. You know, like I feel like if you got a job and you're paying your bills and you're not like holy shit, where's my next meal coming from? I think that's what poor is to me.
Nah, that's destitute. Destitute's even a strong word for that. Destitute's like homeless, but that's there's another term for that. Just because you have a job today, what if they didn't have a job tomorrow?
Right.
But if you could not have a job for like 6 months and still be in your current situation, then you're, I would say, middle class. 6 months a year, you have a runway of time where you don't have to be having money come in the door. Then I would say probably you're middle class. But like, if the spigot turns off once and it really fucks up your life, you're poor. That's where I'm at. Like, it's gonna fuck up my life. I'll be fine. I have things just because I just have the things, hopefully, that it's not much, but if something happens, I'll
some type of safeguard,
something where it's a little net there, but not much. You start giving me money for a month and I haven't done anything to get more money, I'm gonna have some real problems. So, just one of those things.
You think that's the type of mentality that drove Pearlman to be this type of person, or you think he was just born to be a con?
Sounds like it, right? A little bit. Sounds like from the beginning.
You think it was derived from insecurity or something that he was genetically inclined to do? Like if he didn't get made fun of, if he wasn't such a fat kid, would it develop the social, that social identity with wanting to?
Maybe, because people are mean as kids, and then other kids kind of put value on certain things. Maybe they think maybe he thought if I had a bunch of money and I had dressed nicer or whatever, that I stepped out of a nicer car, that they wouldn't make fun of me. So that might have been a push for him. Might have been at home. He might have not liked the fact that his mom was an assistant in the cafeteria. He might not have liked the fact that he had to share stuff at the house with a bunch of kids in the house. So he just wanted to live on 25,000 square feet of property with 5 cars by yourself and your boys or whatever.
The flammery.
The flimflammery. If that's a real motherfucker, that's not a real word.
$130 million. Investors like David Mathis see it as another sign that they put their money with the right guy.
That actually made us feel good because, if a Bank of America is going to loan Lou Pearlman $40 million, I'm in with him.
Lou Pearlman continues to charm his way into people's pockets. Whether it's a naive young singer reaching for a dream or an elderly retiree looking for a safe spot to put a nest egg, Pearlman doesn't discriminate.
He could raise money from just about anybody. He could get a dime out of a clam.
As fresh money rolls in, Pearlman writes a book on his success and basks in the spotlight. But like the book, most of Pearlman's transcon empire is a work of fiction.
His entire empire was underpinned by a company that didn't exist.
It never existed. It was a figment of his imagination.
When American greed returned,
but it was a real company.
See how the feds blow the cover off Pearlman's.
It was the paperwork was falsified, like the records.
He was
an actual company,
right? But there wasn't no airlines or assets, and he was telling everybody that he did. Yeah.
Storybook life. To hear more from Lou Pearlman's victims and his $500 million scam, log on to AmericanGreed.cnbc.com.
Do it. Log on right now.
In 2004, music mogul Lou Pearlman's company, Transcontinental, has more investors than ever. They've dumped more than $100 million into Transcon's ESA program, a retirement plan that, unbeknownst to them, mostly serves to fatten Pearlman's wallet.
I always like that word.
Meanwhile, more than 1,000 miles away from company headquarters, a Chicago attorney is picking away at Pearlman's sparkling facade. Ed Brooks represents the family of one of Pearlman's top investors, Dr. Joseph Chow.
His daughter came to speak with me in the September 2004 timeframe. I believe Dr. Chow had passed away shortly before that time, and they were trying to figure out what was the situation with their various loans.
Damn, almost $1 million.
Beginning in 1994, Dr. Chow had invested $9 million with Pearlman and his companies.
He trusted him. of course, knew that Lou Pearlman had started the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and was behind those efforts. And as a result, I think that there was a level of trust that was developed. I know Dr. Chow accompanied Lou Pearlman around the world with those music groups.
After Dr. Chow's death, his family asks Brooks to retrieve the outstanding loans Dr. Chow made to Pearlman. To do so, Brooks places a call to Coral Gables, Florida, where Pearlman's accounting firm, Cohen & Siegel, is supposedly located. But at the listed number, instead of an accounting firm, he finds a secretarial service.
I learned that in roughly 1995, one of Lou's employees set up the secretarial service at Coral Gables, and they were to answer the phone, Cohen & Siegel. The owner of the Coral Gables secretarial service was told that all messages for Mr. Cohen or Mr. Siegel were to be transferred to Lou Pearlman. She had never
Cohen
seen
and Siegel didn't even
in fact, it's her
didn't even exist.
Space, and no accountant had ever been there. So that's when I knew we had a fictitious accounting firm.
Ed Brooks files a complaint.
You would think he puts like a little
Pearlman
bit more distance in between himself and the scam, right?
Bro, you would think if you were gonna donate or let guy own or hold $9 million, you would do a little bit more due diligence on your money.
Backstreet Boys.
That's true.
His
It's all,
entities.
it's all diligence I
Meanwhile,
need, bro.
all over the country,
Bye.
Pearlman's investors are getting
goes your
antsy.
money.
Some, like David Mathis, are sick of waiting for the IPO Lou's been promising.
So we put pressure on Lou. Lou, you know, the investors. The only way we're going to make any money is if you go public. We need to go public. And Lou kept putting off.
Frustrated with Pearlman, Mathis decides to pull out his multi-million-dollar investment.
I finally prepared a letter to Lou. I faxed it over to his home, telling him I wanted out. And the very next day, Lou called me, and he claimed he was in Germany, and he did receive my letter. And if I wanted out, there'd be no problem. He would take me out as soon as he got back. But stay in, because the IPO is coming out.
Mathis sticks to his guns. He wants out. Other big investors take legal action, and the state of Florida launches an investigation. As the media picks up on the story, investors like Connie Caesar begin to panic.
I called Lou up, and I spoke to him at Transcon, and he said he would be giving us our money. Not to worry, he's a man of his word. And then the calls kept going back and forth.
Down in Tampa, John Spears wants to take out $15,000 to give to his children and grandchildren for Christmas. He calls Transcontinental, can't get through, and ends up leaving several messages.
At the time, with the interest and everything, I had $350,000 invested in the company. And if I'm having trouble getting $15,000, I was quite afraid of the rest of my money. So then I'd call my attorney.
As do $3,000.
Can he close his eyes?
He can't. But we're talking about that middle class, upper class. I don't have an attorney. Like, I don't have an attorney.
Well, you're going to have $15,000. Here's Christmas fund.
To give to my kids. Here's go $15,000 to give to my kids.
1,000 other investors who have a sick feeling they've been scammed out of hundreds of millions of dollars. Meanwhile, a federal investigation is underway.
It smelled bad.
It
did
smelled
look like a
bad.
fraud, from the beginning.
Like all white-collar criminals, he told people what they wanted to hear, and in order to get their money out of them. I mean, he had an excuse or a story for just about
This
everything.
guy looks like a cop.
Pearlman owes money far and wide.
Like
bogus account statements have been showing investors.
He's got like
they're just mad tense.
The bulldog kind of vibe.
It's like,
good return. But in reality, their money is funding Pearlman's lavish lifestyle. For 2 decades, he's been taking in investments for Transcontinental Airlines,
Which is a company that, frankly, only existed on paper. And only existed on paper.
Amazing. 20 years, though?
Many years ago.
What, 25 years? You don't think that was enough time?
No. I'm talking about like how long he fooled people.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, he was doing this shit before Backstreet Boys, made them multi-millionaires, got sued by them, created other people, still ESA, fucking transcontinental travel, and everybody's just like.
And the banks, imagine the banks giving you money.
House, wait.
The banks are giving you money too.
Bank of America.
That was the company that he used to sell his ESA program. And he touted it as a company that had hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue, had many planes and many employees, and that just wasn't true.
In fact, the only lucrative facet of Pearlman's Transcon empire is Transcon Records, the label behind Pearlman's boy bands, most notably the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC.
When he made it big, when he made his money with NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, he didn't turn away from his fraud. He didn't use that windfall as an opportunity to turn away and to do good and to pay back the people he had defrauded, but who didn't know they had been defrauded.
So I'm saying he could have turned it around. There was a point.
Turn it all into like something positive, and then possibly never had to deal with the repercussions.
And walk away with a couple million instead of 100 million.
Double, triple, and quadruple down on fucking people over. It was like, well, I can't make my money if I could make up a fake travel company and I could invest in old people and I could, and then he died in prison, broken alone, because he's a fat bitch.
Maybe not broke, but alone for sure. Because maybe he hit some money.
Didn't the government seize? All right, true. Some of that money.
Money was
95
everywhere.
million out of the 300 million, right? Was what he had around.
No, they only were able to recuperate like 30 million out of all that.
I thought I heard 95.
Instead, not only did he continue, he then used his newfound celebrity.
So what's the
as another
asterisk in
weapon against
NSYNC
people?
exactly?
I have no idea.
Okay.
A weapon that he used to lure people into investing more and more money to him.
Retirees aren't the only pawns in Pearlman's game. Beginning in the early 90s, Pearlman gets loans from 50 banks by showing them a stack of fake documents
50
and
banks?
a clean
I wonder how
audit
much
by
for
his
each
phony
bank.
accounting firm.
10 mil.
Pearlman would present the banks with a package.
Was a little picture on the top.
Yeah.
Of like that same
Here
angle
I
that
am.
fat people use on Twitter and Instagram.
He had a case of the angles. That's what I used to call it. Like, no, I didn't actually go on a date with her. I showed up, and it turns out she has a case of the angles.
It turns out she has 30 chins, and you couldn't see it from that angle.
Nothing wrong with multiple chins, Peens. What I'm saying is the misrepresentation.
That's what's wrong with it.
No.
You show up and you got 30 chins, lady.
Or reverse. Maybe I think you got a nice fat ass, and I get there and there's no ass, and I'm like, that's kind of why I'm here, you know? Why are we even doing this dance?
It includes a lot of biographical information about him. He was the selling point behind most of these loans. You've heard of me. I'm Lou Pearlman. I'm basically the Brian Epstein of the Beatles. No, I'm the Brian Epstein of NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. You see me on television.
Or as Peens would say, Quincy Jones.
I'm someone who's well-known.
P. Diddy.
And I'm rich.
Pearl Diddy.
Pearl Diddy. More like Pearl Diddle.
Banks shell over a whopping $130
allegedly.
million in loans.
Damn.
He's also a tax cheat on a massive scale.
Mr. Pearlman had not filed income tax returns with Internal Revenue Service since 2001. And while not filing income tax returns, he was submitting purportedly filed income tax returns with the banks, showing a very nice income. Wouldn't everybody love to do that? Submit no tax returns to the IRS, but submit tax returns showing $16 million to banks so that they would lend you money.
On February 15, 2007, federal agents raid Transcon's headquarters in Pearlman's Windermere mansion.
How much is that FBI agent getting paid to,
Not a lot.
pull all that
60
shit
grand
out
a
of
year?
there? Use that goddamn
50, 60 grand a year.
You gotta use that dolly to pull them damn files out. Go through a 20,000 square foot mansion.
Yeah.
And NSYNC's complaining about $2,000 a month.
Yeah. Just like basketball players who complain about the amount of money they make, or football players who complain about the money they make when people say, well, you just play a game for a living. It's like, no, it's a hard game to play. I have to keep my body in tip-top shape. I have a high stress level. It's a win or lose fucking like game. If I do bad, I'm out. If I do good, I'm in until I have a 3 or 4 in the NFL. I have a 3 to 5 year like lifespan. In the NBA, 10 years tops most times.
Plus you got to deal with CTE.
CTE you got to deal with. Outside of that, they get like fucking 70 grand.
Yeah, but Backstreet ain't dealing with CTE.
No, but there again, it's a hard job. It's a difficult job.
I can't agree with that.
Have you ever traveled the world?
I've been in a band.
Traveled the world?
I've been in a band.
So no. You have not.
I've traveled to a couple states.
It's hell on your immune system.
It is. Traveling, being on the road.
That's the most important thing, bro. You don't sleep enough, you die.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah, you die when you start popping pills.
No.
Like
well,
Prince.
yeah, it accelerates the process.
And
But if
Michael
you don't
Jackson.
get sleep, your heart gets fucked up. And you
Michael
die.
Jackson had plenty of time to play with little kids and sing and dance.
Propofol. Michael Jackson is a cautionary tale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's not that hard.
It's difficult. It's so difficult that motherfuckers
difficult to be
self-medicate and
good,
kill
but
themselves.
to actually do it is not that hard.
Yes, it is. That's the hard part, is the actually doing it, the grind of doing it all the time. That's what makes motherfuckers to go off the deep end and kill themselves and do drugs
I think
out
the
their
money
ass.
and fame makes them go off.
It doesn't help the situation at all. If there was no money and drugs involved, a
They'd be
lot
fine.
of people would still
because of the
they'd
stress, be a local band.
The stress of performing, the constant moving around, the lack of sleep, the poor nutrition.
They'd be a local band.
It would be. It's a hard job.
It's okay. It's not an easy job, but it's not a hard job.
It's harder than being a maid.
No.
It's harder than being an FBI agent.
No.
It's less stressful than being a maybe, arguably, than being an FBI agent, but it's harder.
No.
You get to go home every night and sleep in your bed.
You get a hotel room with some bitches.
Right, but you get, again, that's not, it seems like a good thing, but that's not a good thing. It's a fun thing.
It's a better thing.
Than what?
Than circle jerking at the FBI agent office.
Not necessarily, bro. Like, again, it's more fun, but is it actually better for you to be fucking...
That's arguable.
No, it's not.
Why? You've been doing cardio all day. It's good for you.
No, you don't get any sleep because you're out partying.
That's your fault.
But that's what I'm saying. That's part of the deal, right? What's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but
you're saying you fucking
cleaning
bitches.
ladies can go out and party.
They can.
They choose not to.
Not to the level that a cleaning lady can't go out and party every night if she has kids because she's going to end up spending all her money.
All right, let's say you're just a regular Backstreet Boy without the Backstreet, and you're cleaning toilets. No family, no nothing. You can go out and party.
Yeah.
Let's forget family.
Not good for you.
Let's forget family going home.
Okay.
Right. Just regular job.
Yeah.
Cardiovascular work.
Right.
Okay. I think pressure from like smelling cleaning products, getting your hands full of like shit, possibly contaminating yourself because you're like around shit a lot, like literal shit, like feces. I still think that job is harder than Backstreet making some moves on stage. And if you would just make the moves on stage, sing the songs, go home and sleep, you'd be fine.
Sure, maybe. But that's not all they have to do. They got public appearances. They got interviews. They got to get up at 4 a.m. and go do the junket run, the mind-numbing small talk that they have to make all the time.
What about motherfuckers that go to the Army?
What about them?
They have a hard job.
They have probably one of the most difficult jobs.
And they still probably making about $2,000. If you're like a PFC.
Let me take that back. Probably the most stressful jobs.
Yeah.
Again, their jobs aren't necessarily difficult either.
So they shouldn't complain.
I think what's happening is there's a disconnect, at least for you, between something that's difficult and something that's better or worse.
I just think in the scale,
there's how hard something is. If being a Backstreet Boy or a boy band or a girl band or an entertainer was easier, more people would be doing it at that level. The mere fact that there's a select amount of people being able to do these things, Michael Jackson's, all these people that you're mentioning, the mere fact that it's just them and the limited amount of people doing it shows how much harder it is to do. Harder, difficulty rating.
Harder to appeal to a mass, yes, but not harder as the physical activity that you're
literally
doing.
the physical activity.
No.
The doing of it.
Because you have a record label and a machine.
I proved it here when I tried to sing the songs. How hard it is to sing that song.
Yeah, but you don't practice 10 hours a day to get the right vocal stuff.
And
you
it wouldn't
can
matter
if
if I
you
did.
did. If you had Beyonce's vocal coach, you would be singing all the
You
ladies.
just said if Beyonce's record, if Beyonce's vocal coach was my vocal coach, I could sing like Beyonce.
Yeah,
it's not true.
You could sing
It's not
Single
true.
Ladies and hit the same
not
note.
true.
Are people going to be impressed like Beyonce? No, because she has notoriety.
No.
She's put in the time and effort. People know her. But you could sing like if you had Beyonce's vocal
Peans,
coach.
you're saying I could sing like Beyonce.
Yes.
There's no way in hell I could sing like Beyonce.
If you quit your job and stop smoking joints.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got.
Listen, singing is not the hard part. If you practice 10 hours a day, you could sing. Yes. Yes.
No,
Yes.
I don't give a fuck if I practiced 23 hours a day and slept one.
You could. Yes. You can learn that ability.
Sure, you can.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sing as well as Beyonce's going to sing.
Because you didn't put enough time.
Because how hard it is to do.
Well, she's been doing it since she was little.
Mm-hmm. And then, now we're just talking about just the singing part. I also have to learn the choreography. I also have to keep my body in tip-top shape.
And then
I also have to go to 30 countries.
And then after that, you need a record label to push you.
In 2 months.
And you need
or
luck.
whatever.
All those things that are not part of.
So hard to do.
It's hard.
It's harder than cleaning shit out of a toilet.
No, not physically.
Yes, it is.
Not physically.
Yes, it is.
Because
there's so many more janitors and so many more people that work at Burger King. And
Right.
So many more people that change tires.
Because the structure of that job has already been implemented.
It's just easier to do, bro.
It's easier to go get the job, but physically, I'm just talking about physically. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
The luck of the draw and the
I think
people
you
you
think
connect.
you're talking about physically something that's hard, but the job itself is easy. It's just hard to constantly do a shitty job.
Yeah.
No, but it's not difficult to do the job. It's like I don't want to do it. It's not that it's hard. It's that I don't want to do this shitty job. That's the hard. It's not the physicality of it. It's more like the ethical or emotional difficulty of the job. It's not the actual physical doing the job.
Not everybody wants to be a janitor.
Nobody wants to be a janitor, right? So emotionally,
well, there's some people that probably enjoy being janitors.
maybe, but like emotionally, it's just hard to get up and grind out that job. It's emotionally or whatever easier to be a star and to be that, but physically to actually do it day in and day out, I would say is harder as a Backstreet Boy or a Beyonce or whatever. That schedule and that demand and now not to mention the like pressure of all. You got 100 people. Beyonce got probably 200 people on her payroll that are paying their mortgages and whatever else to go live their life. And
Yeah, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about her.
No, we are. We're talking about
activity.
the job. That's physical. She has that physical fucking
pressure,
stress,
right,
of taking care of all these people. Not to mention she needs to know her dance steps, and then she needs to blah 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 blah, and then also we've got, now this is just specific to her, but her kids and her family and whatnot that she's got to take care of. That shit's mad harder than flipping burgers, bro. It just is. The job
but
sucks.
It's a lucky thing because you fell into
Definitely.
that.
Well, yeah, I mean, in a way, maybe there is a bit of the luck comes that you were given that gift, right? But that shit's a grind, man. That shit's a grind.
I'm not arguing. I'm just arguing the physical activity. The physical
is much harder. You gotta be in shape to do that shit, man.
You gotta be in shape to fucking vacuum, clean.
Really?
Yeah, bro. I've cleaned houses before.
I know.
That shit, you're tired as fuck afterwards.
You are.
You clean 4 houses a day.
You're tired as fuck afterwards because you're not in shape.
Well, I'm just me, yes, but I know physically,
because it's not that hard. If you're super tired, you're super crazy tired. It's because you're not in shape. If Michael Phelps was a janitor, he wouldn't be tired at the end of the day.
I don't know about that.
He wouldn't. Because all he does is swim and train all day.
Yeah, but it's still different. It's all based on the fact that you are training your body to do a certain task. You switch up that task, it's a different. You have to relearn that.
You have to learn a task, but the physicality and the being tired of this, because he does more, he won't be tired. You're tired because you do less. Actually getting up every night and doing an hour performance but being up 4 a.m. to do press, then getting a bullshit meal, and then going to the club afterwards and making an appearance.
Bullshit meal.
A lot of times on tour, motherfuckers get bullshit meal. That's why people like Young M.A. gain 50 pounds because they're going to Burger King or Waffle House or fucking like a bullshit meal instead of a home cooked nice meal that the janitor may cook for herself or get the wife to cook when she goes home. And
you have the money to get a nutritionist,
but you don't. But you don't, because you're in this city for a night, and this city for 2 nights, and this city for a night. And at that level, too, a lot of times, the $2,000 a month level, you don't got no goddamn nutritionist. You know what I mean? You're going to getting bullshit meals. Maybe you're eating at fucking 7-Eleven with the hot dogs or whatever. Like you saw the initial J. Cole's and Wiz Khalifa's and Wale's on those tours, and Big Sean's when they're like in terrible places eating bullshit food because they don't have that money. But they're up there for an hour, 45 minutes, whatever, every night. Then they get on a plane or a bus and they drive to the next joint. They do the press junket every night for a month, for 6 months, for 3 months. That shit wears down on you, bro. They can't go home. They can't get a full night's rest. None of that shit.
I get all that.
And part of that, they're smoking, they're drinking, they're out, and it's part of their fault. But it's physically, to me, the idea and the things that I've seen are harder than me getting up at, even if I go to the Gaylord Palms at 3 a.m. and I work till 1 p.m. at 1:30, 1:45, 2 o'clock, I'm going to be at home. I'm going to get in my bed. I'm going to take my shower. I'm going to get up. I'm going to eat my food, and I'll be recharged to come and do it again the next day. If I'm tired at the end of that day.
What about the Mexican construction worker?
What about the Mexican construction worker?
He's working harder than NSYNC and Backstreet.
Yeah, he is.
Okay. Fuck the cleaning people.
No, not fuck them. I'm just saying, like, physically harder.
Wrong example on my
physically
part.
harder. If we're talking about people doing construction, of course,
and making less money.
Well, do they make less money though? Yeah. $2,000 a month? I don't know.
I'm sure there's some laborers that make about $2,000 a month.
I don't
because
know. Those motherfuckers get paid, bro.
No, they
they get screwed over. Yes,
they're not making as much as Backstreet.
But like, if we're doing, and I don't know this for sure, but like I know construction workers get paid.
They do
$25 an hour.
Yeah, but they're not making that Backstreet money. Just in relative to what you're doing, every hour.
Backstreet wasn't the people making $2,000 though. We're talking about Next 5,
right? Next 5.
They're not making that Next 5 money,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's so. I know that there's jobs.
They're not making that Backstreet. You're right. They're not making that.
I was wrong by giving examples as a janitor cleaner. You're absolutely right.
So physically, when you're saying physically.
Yeah, just the physical part. That's all I'm saying.
No, but not janitors aren't working as hard as Backstreet.
No, you're right about the janitors, but as far as like just a job like construction or something to that effect, that you're not getting the fame, the notoriety, the opportunities just for being famous, and you should be happy with $2,000. I'm not talking about Backstreet or NSYNC that to me have the legendary status, right? But Take 5 that I can't even remember one of those guys might remember the name. You should be happy with $2,000 a month.
I don't know. They're doing a really hard job.
God damn it, meet me in the middle.
It's $500 a week, bro. That's nothing.
You get your pee-pee sucked though in the hotel room.
Yeah, but I'm getting sick. So when I get out of this hotel room, I gotta like pay. It sounds like a good. I'm not mad at that age. If I got $2,000 a month, I got paid a lot less.
Better than working with Jose.
It's true. That's true. Nobody said it wasn't better. It's always better to do that, even if you're getting paid less, homie.
In a real hurry, that somebody had
the
cleaned
people,
out
FBI agent
safes that he had at the residence.
As news of the raid hits the press, the world is waiting to hear from Transcon President Lou Pearlman. Although his game is up, it's really just begun.
We've only just begun
and a worldwide
to scam.
Finding Lou Pearlman is like playing Where's Waldo.
Nah, I don't think so.
Not quite. He's got glasses though, like Where's Waldo. So there's that.
He's the size of like 3 Where's Waldos.
I know, he'd be so easy to find. He's like, where's Waldo? Right there.
He ain't gonna run nowhere.
Where's Waldo? Right there.
Pearlman is under intense scrutiny by federal authorities. He's believed to be one of the biggest con men in U.S. history, the mastermind behind a $500 million fraud. Problem is, Pearlman is gone.
Finding Lou Pearlman is like playing Where's Waldo. we got a lot of leads as to where Mr. Pearlman supposedly was. But at that point, what our focus was...
I don't think this guy's actually played Where's Waldo.
He doesn't quite know what Where's Waldo was about.
Yeah.
That's not... Maybe
And that's
Carmen
what we
Sandiego?
Roger Handberg files a criminal complaint of bank fraud, and a warrant is issued for Pearlman's arrest. But the feds keep it all hush-hush.
We really wanted Mr. Pearlman to feel comfortable while he was on the lam. At some point, we wanted him to think, you know what, gee, maybe they're not going to pursue this on a criminal level. And I'm Lou Pearlman. I can go back in and I can probably fix this. That's what we wanted him to think.
While Pearlman embarks on a fugitive world tour, his investors are sweating bullets. 3,000 investors have placed their money in trust with Lou Pearlman. Hundreds of millions of dollars in a con man's hands, and now they fear it's gone. Helen Huntley, personal finance editor for the St. Petersburg Times, keeps investors updated on her blog.
Oh, they were frantic. I think until then, Lou, was a problem getting their money out. But once this story ran, it was like creating a run on the bank, because then they all wanted to get their money out.
Thousands of Transcon investors are waiting for some sort of news. In June of 2007, they get it.
Well, one Sunday morning, I was at home and checked my email, and I had a rather strange email in kind of awkward English from a foreign tourist who said that he had spotted Lou Pearlman at his hotel.
The tourist thinks
At the moment, we were in holidays.
boy band mogul. To confirm his hunch, he logs onto the internet, queries Backstreet Boys manager, and stumbles upon Helen Huntley's blog. The tourist soon realizes Pearlman is more than a celebrity. He's a wanted fugitive.
I was pretty dubious. I really didn't think he had seen Lou Pearlman.
Dubious. Huntley hits reply and asks the tourist for more details.
He wrote me back and said, I've seen Lou. This is where I am.
He asked, is there any bounty for him?
Bounty? Oh, he hit him with the bounty
and
line.
gave me the information that he was at this Westin hotel in Bali.
Huntley forwards the lead to the FBI.
So I responded to the email from the German tourist and basically indicating that, hey, Mr. Pearlman, I just want to talk to him, and get his side of the story. This whole thing's a mess. I'm sure there's some things here we don't understand. Just
a lot of flim-flammery happening right now.
I'm sending out those emails at the same time I'm contacting our legal attaché office in Jakarta. And I'm letting the guys there know that, hey, I got this fugitive. He's down in Bali. Can you guys go check it out?
Yo, Bali's a nice place to get away.
Fly to Bali.
And they
Never
also
been?
got no. I've seen pictures though. But there's a pretty high amount of
prostitution.
Yeah, like underage.
Yeah. Girly man.
Yeah. They call them girl? No, not man boys.
Man boys.
Man boys.
Go to the hotel and grab a bite before making the arrest.
And they called me at home because once they sat down, they realized that they were sitting next to Mr. Pearlman eating breakfast. And
he was eating the shit out of that breakfast.
Who was, I think at this point was somewhat frustrated. with me.
That's fair to say that man always ate good.
Oh yeah, he never missed a meal.
Sent me a picture and saying, "Hey, here he is." The great part about this though is, here's Mr. Pearlman, and here are our guys sitting right here next to him, and he had no clue who they were or what they were about to do.
The agents nab Pearlman at the resort, where he's staying under the name A. Incognito Johnson. After a brief stint in Guam jail, he's flown back to Florida.
Incognito.
Yo, Carl, I'm hiding from the authorities, Johnson. Come on, my guy. Incognito?
He said Bali. Probably they don't know what that means.
No, but why don't just be David Richardson?
Yeah, something.
Not even John Smith, but just think of a name that's just Chris Thompson, regular ass shit. Incognito. This guy said Incognito. Yeah, we mad as fuck.
Do you have anything to say for yourself, Lou?
In all, Pearlman scammed banks and investors out of $500 million, making it one of the biggest investment schemes in history.
This is one of the most significant cases our office has, if not the most significant. The number of people who have their lives destroyed by Mr. Pearlman is unbelievable. I mean, over 1,500 people have lost everything.
News of Pearlman's arrest makes international headlines. Once the king of a boy band empire, now an accused con man facing
King of a boy band empire.
Accused con man.
It's about time. This man has ripped off so many people and robbed so many people and did so many bad things.
She knows the right thing because she's Donna Wright.
Con man. He's a total con man.
Vanity Fair reporter Brian Burrow begins digging and uncovers much more than just financial dirt.
I was a good 6-7 weeks into research before someone said, "So, have you looked into Lou and the young boys?" And I was like, "Huh?" I feel so stupid. And the guy looked at me like, "Oh, come on. You got to know." I'm like, "What?" And he said, "Start asking." So I started asking and ended up spending another couple of months chasing an angle I'd never even considered, and that was Lou's interest in young men.
In November of 2007, Vanity Fair goes public with a story about some boy banders' allegations of sexual misconduct. But none of the boys ever pressed charges in the sex
Always
scandal.
touching you.
Burrow says
yeah,
they're scared.
I got a
Big
friend.
Papa.
It's a mutual friend. I'm not going to tell you the name until after. But this friend, recently, the last couple, 3, 4, 5 months, has taken to coming in and putting his hands on me, shoulder area and like ribs, and kind of like digging in a little. So first time it happened, kind of like, "Hey, knock it off," kind of thing. Ha ha ha. Next time comes in, does it again. He had his hand in my ribs here. Put my arm down, I twisted and kind of like twisted his hand a little bit. He's like, "Ow," you know? I was like, "Hey man, do me a favor and stop touching me."
So the second time you let him know.
Second time, just like, "Hey man, we're friends. I like you. I'd like it if you didn't touch me like that." You know what I mean? This wasn't a hug. If it was just like, "Oh, what's up?" You know, because I hug people. I'm down for hugs.
And you've known this guy for a while.
We've known this guy for a while.
And he just started this?
We've known this guy for a while, and he just started it, yes.
Okay.
Third, maybe fourth time, he comes after I've told him a couple times and made it a thing. After this is the point I've sort of made it a thing. I've even made a speech like, "Listen, man, this can go to another level. I don't want it to." He's like, "No, you don't want it to." I'm like, "I know, I agree with you. I don't want it to. Do me a favor, stop touching me like that." The last time it happened, I was sitting down on the computer. He came and did the same thing and laughed, and I just backed my chair up until he almost fell over, right? And I told him again, and that's the last time it happened. But it was weird because it sort of felt like he was offended, which I think is weird, because why would you be offended that I don't want you to give me a massage or whatever the fuck, tickle or whatever it is? My point is, there was a part that says always touching. It's like, I hate that shit. I hate when people, and not like, "Yo, that's hilarious."
Right.
But like when they just do, there was a guy downtown, he was a bouncer that always used to do this to the edge of my shirt or our shirts, me and another friend of mine. He'd be talking, he'd be like, "Yeah, man, there was those guys trying to get into the bar and they didn't even like do anything when I did something in their face." And I was like, "Yo, that's crazy. These guys," and he would do that all the time. And it was just like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And maybe it's part of my culture, whatever. But I always hated like the super over unnecessarily touchy-feely people. Even women touching me too much.
Well, I noticed, like, I'm not an over affectionate person unless I know, or it's like going to my mom, or mostly like female, my goddaughter, my mom, and Ashley, right? When my grandma was alive. Other than that, I wasn't ever that type of person. But sometimes, like, I remember when I worked in the community, when I was doing the Vote Orlando event, I was in a circle of a lot of, social workers, nonprofit people. And in that circle, I was enlightened. You never hug or go to be too affectionate to anybody because you never know how they're going to take that. Even if your intention is to be like Joe Biden, right? Remember the Joe Biden thing? Like
Joe Biden was smelling people's hair.
So. Well, yeah, okay, but the what I'm trying to say is like you're not supposed to make people feel comfortable in that way. And I think some people, well, they think that they're making other people feel comfortable by like, you know what I mean?
I had a weird moment with the group of people, and I know what you mean, and I disagree with the people that made you feel that way, simply because this, and I feel like I'm probably wrong because I'm in this country. In this country, intention doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you intended to make the other person feel.
Right.
It matters how the person feels about it.
Right.
And I disagree with that.
Yeah.
I do. Because if that's true, then fuck everybody's culture.
That's true, because French people kiss you on both sides of the
Costa
cheek.
Rican.
Yeah. There's
right on the cheek.
That's where I get it from. At being Hispanic,
I'm giving you a
you're
hug.
just raised. The girls always give you a kiss on the
hug,
cheek.
A little kiss, I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
I get why people feel like they have to say no. It doesn't matter what you were saying.
Yeah.
Because I was at a training, and after the training was over, the third day of the training, it's like, hey, we're all going to go out. So we're all out. We're all drinking. We're having a conversation about culture, and I brought up that point, and I stepped across the circle. And I gave the woman not a hug, not even a real hug, let alone a aggressive hug.
Yeah.
I just gave her one of these, and I stepped back, and I'm like, so that's not necessarily assault or anything. I'm just saying hello. She's like, no, it's assault because I say it's assault. And I'm like,
yeah, that's
this girl says awkward. She goes awkward, and I'm like, right now it feels like I'm arguing for sexual assault, and I'm not. All I'm saying is, if I'm from a place where a hug is a good thing and a kiss on the cheek is hello, then how, just because I crossed the boundaries of this United States, is it assault? Because you were assaulted when you were younger.
I'm in the middle of it. I don't know what's right or wrong on that, because I understand that you are doing it with good intentions, but if that person is triggered by that and they feel uncomfortable, that's how the people in community organizing explained it to me. And it's the same thing at like finding the right pronouns for somebody that you don't know if is a male or female, because they're maybe in a transitional period. And you really have to, I guess, if you're a compassionate person, if you don't give a fuck, then fuck it, it's whatever you feel.
When somebody makes you aware of it, okay, I agree with that.
Right.
But if I don't know from the jump street, I'm not a bad dude.
Right.
If I am French or Costa Rican and I say hello with a hug, but you don't like hugs, once you make me aware you don't like hugs, cool. But at the outset, initially, I can't automatically be wrong.
What if Pearlman was like that? If he was just a touchy-feely type of guy, and because there's no real accounts on molestation, there's just like touchy-feely type of behavior.
If it's
is it because he looks like a fat slob?
If it's demonstrated behavior in his culture, then sure. But is looks another variable to that whole thing, right? If you're a nice, handsome person and you give a kiss, maybe it's not so bad because you're handsome and good looking, or if a girl does it. People don't want to admit to that shit, but it always is.
Yeah.
Because one woman's creepy is another woman's like,
please fondle me.
Whatever. You know what I mean? But you can't say that because now you're in trouble because you're a sexist or something like that. And I'm just saying intention needs to count for something. If my intention was not to offend you, but just to say hello, I'm sorry I offended you, and I know now. Now.
Yeah.
Something happened to you.
You're touching me too much.
Something happened to you in your life where physical contact with a stranger is making you uncomfortable. And I know that now, and I won't be hugging you for the rest of us knowing each other until you hug me or something like that. But in my life, I was hugged and kissed and made to feel like human interaction was a benefit, physical.
I think you're right. It's an American thing, bro.
It's an American thing to say that what you're saying is wrong and what I'm feeling is right.
Yeah,
that's an American thing.
Yeah,
like fuck your culture, bro. I feel uncomfortable, so you should go to jail.
But we also, no, you shouldn't go to jail, but we also are a melting pot of so many cultures that if it's going to be anywhere that anybody checks that type of behavior, it'll be here. France, you're not going to, because it's just French culture. And if you're in Latin America, you're not going to check that shit because Latin, you know what I mean? That's the Spanish way. Yeah, it's just like I was watching 90 Day Fiance, and there's this girl that became Muslim to marry a Muslim kid in Syria, of all places, right? And her mom is super American, right? And you see her mom wanting to support her daughter, so her mom goes to Lebanon to meet the kid from Syria, because obviously they can't go to Syria because of the whole war thing. And the mom is coming off
that war thing.
But the mom is coming off a little disrespectful, right? Because they're asking her to wear, the thing, and she's totally American.
No, hijab, sorry.
Right, and she's American, so it comes off a little disrespectful because she's asking a lot of questions, like, oh, why do I have to wear this here? Or, how are you going to treat my daughter and all this stuff? Now, the daughter has completely assimilated, right? And she's totally... even though she wasn't raised under a Muslim house, she has become that for her man. Shout out to her. But are we going to make her mom feel bad? On the flip side of that, if she goes to a Muslim country and she's not acting in that culture, right?
I mean, you shouldn't. You shouldn't, but that's not the way the world works,
right.
Including here.
Yeah.
If you're over there, they expect you to do how they do. If you're over here, then no matter how you do, that's the thing.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong.
Over there is not a melting pot. Over here is a melting pot.
So we should be more open-minded.
We should be way more open-minded because literally everybody in the fucking house. This guy's Mexican. This guy's from China. This guy's from a different part of China where they don't do that. This guy's like they have fucking. Never mind. They have so many fucking like atrocities happening with the. What do they call them? Niga culture, like in China, there's this whole like I think they're Buddhist or Muslim when they're supposed to be. I don't know enough about it, but they're different parts of China are telling another culture that they're not even allowed.
So they got niggas in China too.
They got niggas in China, bro. I think that's what they're called. It was close. It was something. I was like, damn, what did he say? I was listening to. I was like, what is the name of them exactly?
Yeah.
But that happens. But they're not a
even with hand signals, like peace and
the okay symbol. About that one, like this guy from Disney got arrested because he threw this on the shoulder of a kid. Like he's hugging a kid. He's dressed as Groot, I think. From Despicable Me.
And he was playing that game.
And you don't even know about it. So okay means hey, okay, right? And then there's the game as a child. You look at it, and I get to punch you in the nuts, right? But this apparently is a white supremacist symbol. And you do it a certain way, and I think it's the KKK.
Oh, shit.
You do it a certain way, and he was doing it on the show. He got fired. But
from American Disney.
Yeah, Disney Orlando.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And that's could be perceived as anything.
Right.
So, again, it's the intention.
Yeah.
Why was he doing it?
Yeah.
But
what if he's lying? How do you know real intention?
It's hard.
You don't.
It's difficult.
Like, how do you know Lou Pearlman really wasn't trying to just help them with their muscles?
Right. He might have just been trying to stretch.
Because it's not like, we can call him a fraudster and a con man, but there's no real evidence except for one person from Lo-Fi or LFO.
That's not evidence. That's allegation.
Allegation, right? So, that's another thing that we're living in a culture where it's so quick to blame something from somebody. Like, oh, that's a Weinstein. And it's like, well, where's the real evidence here? You know what I mean?
He seemed to have a track record of negative things.
Of fraudster shit, okay, but not of child molestation and stuff
what I'm saying
like that.
is, he's a terrible person all around. So
it's what?
I don't put it past him to do it. I would more inclined to believe that he did that than if he had not been charged with the other shit.
Yeah.
If you hadn't stolen all that money from people and had that sort of low moral character, then I'd be less likely to believe, like, there's no way he would do that. He's never done anything wrong.
Yeah.
I don't believe that now it's like, damn, he literally lied to old ladies and banks of America.
It's not so far off from molest little kids.
Yeah, he probably molests kids too because he's a complete piece of shit.
Well, I think that's the whole thing is that once he had all these enemies, they were going to be, oh, wait, he doesn't have a girlfriend? Oh, yeah, he's definitely gay. Or he's definitely a child molester. Let's try to tear him down as much as possible because you're already in the shitty boat. You arrived here. You raised your flag of the shit capital.
Oh, my God. That's a big brown flag with little white specks in it because it's not very healthy.
man in the entertainment business they'd ever met. He was wealthy, there were bodyguards, and Lou would tell stories about, I'm from New York, you know, I knew guys in the mafia.
Yo, that sounded like he was
the guy did the impression of pretty good.
Bar fight, this type of thing.
Yo, he said he killed a guy in a bar fight.
You know, every fraudster in the business learns to make veiled threats about the mafia and people because it intimidates the naive.
Pearlman
intimidates the naive. David Dash had that line. You sound smart to dumb people.
There's a lot of naive people in America.
Remember that? You sound smart to dumb people. That's a Dame Dash.
Chatty Patty.
In the very beginning, in terms of our long-range plan, was to put Mr. Pearlman in a situation where he would have really no choice but to cooperate, and to cooperate with respect to everything. And it's a process of really closing doors around him. So
he got that 6X.
That's really left open to him is to
got the extra chain.
Cooperate.
And let me get that extra chain.
You'd like to say about the Pearlman case if you've been an investor?
On May 21st, 2008, nearly 100 investors gathered at the Orlando courthouse, where a judge is about to pass down Pearlman's sentence.
We lost all our monies.
There she goes.
We're living on
Same
Social
haircut.
Security. This is someone that was supposedly family, a friend.
He was a calculating, manipulative scumbag.
Scumbagger.
Scumbag. Yeah. Somehow she hung of that
Scumbag Lou.
The AG portion of that word she hung.
There's probably a Scumbag Lou right now. That was the original. You ever heard of the Scum Gang? It was the first gang that Tekashi was part of. I bet you there's a Scumbag Lou, and he's a nice person.
Lewis.
And he's a nice guy.
Inside, a judge gives Lou Pearlman the maximum, 25 years. With a twist, he'll give him 1 month off his sentence for every $1 million he returns.
He's like, I'm not. How about no?
That he'd ever get out of prison.
I wonder how much he gave back.
The
Does it
lives
say?
that he's ruined.
I don't think he's got $1 million left. I think everybody is.
Oh, way to be optimistic, buddy.
Well,
I just hope when they get him up to state prison, wherever they send him, that Bubba has a vacancy in his cell.
Oh, he wants him to get raped.
Attorney Lou Pearlman declined to speak with America.
One eye for the other eye. I'm talking about the penis eye. An eye for an eye.
An eye for one eye.
Who are doing their best to pick up the
Anybody raping Lou Pearlman in jail, by the the way. Like, nah, I'll
It's
pass.
devastating to myself and,
good.
And to my friends.
It's like, what?
Get on
rape
that.
Lou? You got anybody younger?
Yeah, I'm good.
Nah, but he can sing. Really, he can sing all the Backstreet songs.
No, he can't. You can't even write them.
Like we did before, we want to live better.
They say you're supposed to forgive. No, never. I will never forgive him.
He's a very smart man to have been able to do what he's done. I only wish to God he'd have done it in a different way to benefit people, not to hurt them.
Man, that's fucking true. Man.
That's truth, bro.
He had the fucking power.
Spend that energy.
He had the fucking power.
You could just spend that energy doing something else.
Amazing stuff like that. He had such an ability. Like, he could have negotiated world peace or something.
Yeah.
I know that's grand, but like, he had the ability to like sell water to people who lived in the ocean.
Let me ask you something. If knowing Lou Pearlman's reputation, would you still, like, let's say you had a group of boys that were a boy band and you could use Lou Pearlman as management, right? Sort of like what the judge was saying. Hey, if you can return $1 million, we'll not, for every $1 million you return, we'll knock off a month off your sentence, right? Why not put people like what about putting people, like, he's obviously, there's some good that's coming from his bullshit, right? Because he created Backstreet Boys and NSYNC.
Yeah.
So why not put him to work under a regulated kind of
Like from
environment,
jail?
right?
Like you're talking about before.
Well, he was asking for internet access and phone access to be like, well, I can do this again and I can
make
create more
himself
money.
money.
Well, no, to make money to give back to the people that he stole from. He's not allowed to keep any of that money. But hey, you're good at this job, right? We're going to put you to work instead of, you're still going to be in jail, but you can work from jail to pay this money back. The only reason I say that is because look at home, like, there's always an opportunist. There's always going to be an opportunist.
Some light at the end of a long, dark tunnel for investors who were scammed by boy band legend and Ponzi schemer Lou Pearlman. A federal bankruptcy judge today gave preliminary approval to a plan that would pay back investors pennies on the dollar. West News' Greg Fox live at federal court in downtown Orlando. So, Greg, how soon might these folks see a dime of their investment money back?
Sion, if the judge gives final approval here at federal bankruptcy court in September, it's possible they could begin cutting checks and mailing them to some of Lou Pearlman's victims by the end of this year.
Better than nothing.
That's how attorney Clay Townsend sums up the approval by a federal
Motherfucker
judge
got one
of
suit.
a plan that will reimburse
So do I.
some
Don't worry
of the
about
more
it.
than $300 million that boy band promoter Lou Pearlman scammed from more than 1,400 investors. After liquidating a multi-million-dollar music investment and travel empire, the bankruptcy court is setting aside $10 million that will pay Pearlman's victims about 4 cents on the dollar.
Damn.
Jean Madigan stands to retrieve around $15,000 of her nearly $400,000 investment. You're really talking about just pennies in a bucket.
But, you know, I didn't think I'd get anything, so...
That's
anything
amazing,
at this
Gene.
point
After
would
the,
be fine.
after the lawyer in there, you might not get jack shit.
$200,000 and we'll get back perhaps $8,000.
No, it doesn't go far enough for me. I lost what I lost. 4 cents on the dollar is nothing. I mean, it's my retirement. It's gone.
Yeah.
Some of these folks have waited 5 years and have lost everything. And my clients, the Backstreet Boys and Aaron Carter's losses were millions and significant and real to them.
Sunit Kapila is the trustee who fought for the money for the people Pearlman cheated.
It is a good light at the end of the journey that we are able to see something going to the actual creditors.
New reaction after the death of infamous boy band mogul Lou Pearlman.
In just the last hour, we learned he died of cardiac arrest. He was serving his 25-year prison sentence for what many call the biggest Ponzi scheme in Central Florida history. News 6 reporter Nadine Yanis is live at Church Street Station, Pearlman's old headquarters. So Nadine, you spoke with some people who were swindled by him.
Bamboozled.
Flammered.
And, you know, even though it's been a decade since the fall of Lou Pearlman's empire, an empire, like you said, that was
Get that penny
built
jersey
out
on.
of this building in Church Street Station, the people who work closely with him have some strong and mixed emotions today.
Goddamn,
I
it's
spoke with
fucking
one
94
attorney
degrees out
who
there. It's hot
you
as
may
shit.
recognize, who worked with Pearlman for years, who told me he simply
It's not
is
even
having
noon.
trouble
It's like
having
5
any
o'clock.
more
Sun's supposed to be going down. Goddamn.
He was a human being,
Okay,
but
guys,
it's not one I give a damn about.
High
So,
profile
you know him,
lawyer
right?
Mason had
You know him,
some
right? Cheney
strong
Mason?
words when
That's the one got
remembering Lou Pearlman, the
Casey Anthony
62-year-old
off.
pop pioneer who
Guy who
discovered
threw the
NSYNC
double
and
finger,
the Backstreet
middle
Boys
fingers at the
died over
press.
the weekend while in prison.
The most diabolical, scheming, crooked, and dishonest SOB you could ever imagine.
Mason says he's represented Pearlman for years.
say.
Pearlman was being sued by members of the
So he liked him at a point until he wasn't getting that money.
Pearlman swindled out of having to pay his lawyer fees. When that totaled $16.6 million.
I don't feel so bad. I don't feel so bad that you got swindled, bro.
It's okay, bud. You'll be all right.
Energy and a lot of soul into
Quit defending
defending
people
him
that are pieces of
for
shit.
a long time, case after case after case.
Yo, talk about karma. We got Casey Anthony off, but you ain't getting this money.
Defended Lou Pearlman and goddamn Casey Anthony. I bet he got a hell of a story behind him.
Down that the music mogul was caught by the FBI.
He did affect a lot of people.
He was about to say fuck.
No, it sounded like you did fuck affect a lot of people.
Came out, he finally got apprehended back from the Far East and then prosecuted. He just callously, absolutely with no regard whatsoever, hurt a lot of people.
And it was that Ponzi scheme that he was talking about there that landed Pearlman in prison for 25 years, stealing millions of dollars.
He didn't have to serve the 25, though.
Yeah, man. Got off with about 8 to 10.
Yeah. So, moral of the story is start a boy band, don't rip people off, and quit playing games with
my hearts. No, you know, moral of the story is if you're a criminal from birth, if you're a piece of crap from birth, right, you're screwing people over up until literally when you die, then if at any point during that time you start screwing people over, you become a multimillionaire out of blind luck, then just pivot. Just pivot, bro.
Is it blind luck, though? I don't think it was blind luck. I think he was set up for success. He's just a piece of shit person. No, he did it twice. He did it twice. If only Backstreet Boy was successful, then it's different. But he did it with NSYNC, and then arguably the other bands, even though we don't really know them, they made some money too. So it's not. He was good at shit, bro. He was just a piece of shit person.
He was good at marketing, good at getting money from people.
Yeah, organizing.
He was a rainmaker.
He was a good organizer.
He wasn't a good organizer. He hired people that were good organizers. He was a rainmaker.
Okay.
He made it rain money. So
he's Native American?
No, not actual water.
Oh, okay.
Money. Cash. No, he screwed over Native Americans. Some type of way. I don't know how. I'm just making that up. No, he made it rain money. He was the guy who turned on the faucet and the spigot and all of that shit. But if at any point through your negative, cheating, lying, playing one person against another, robbing Peter to pay Paul tactics, if at any point in that you do something like make $100 million band, just do the right thing. Just stop what you're doing. Now you can be legit.
Yeah.
And you don't gotta have. Nobody needs 25,000 square feet of space. Not one person. Not even one family. You need like 5 families. And that's a really nice house for a family. 5,000 square feet is a really nice
compound.
It's a really nice. You don't need that for yourself. If at any point you're buying, what's the people? The
Westgate
Versailles.
People? Yeah, from the owners of Westgate.
Those cats doesn't need to happen.
They didn't even finish that house
because they went off the deep end. The girl, the
wife
killed herself. The wife, and Queen of Versailles, and all that. Doesn't need to happen.
You don't need it.
You don't need it, bro.
You don't need it.
The money you're making at this point, just help the city.
Yeah.
Help do great things.
To quote Tupac, if we're giving out $38 million in lottery and there's still poor people on the street, like, come on.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Super unbalanced. Well, that's the whole thing with America that makes it a great place and a shitty place. It's like, yeah, you can basically turn absolute, and we've learned this in other episodes, absolute nothing into something. But if you're not built with the right character,
you gotta have that character, man. You gotta have that foundation.
More money, more problems, Biggie.
More money, more problems, more time in jail, more
bullets,
more cardiac arrest
in your SUV.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
true story.
So you guys know that we've been doing this. This is going to be episode 40.
40.
This is 40.
40 years old,
and
we are middle-aged.
I hope by now you guys have been able to laugh with us, cry with us,
disagree,
learn things,
be disgusted.
Yeah, and if you guys consider yourself part of this Fresh Produce family, like, share, subscribe,
do that.
Join our Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
This is our Ponzi scheme.
Won't cost you any money.
But it won't cost you no money.
It costs you time and eyes and a thumb motion.
And a thumb, you know what I mean? Dogs don't have thumbs. If they had thumbs, they could run for president. But they don't have thumbs. You're lucky enough to have a thumb.
The fuck are you talking?
So make sure that you use that thumb, all right, because you're human.
That makes no sense. What would the thumb have to do with presidency?
Bro, the thumb is the most, like... This finger,
it separates us. I hear that, but how do you make
adjustable, opposable thumb?
I get it.
If you didn't have a thumb,
how does that
shake my hand real quick without a thumb? See how awkward that is? You can't even make business decisions. If dogs had thumbs, they could be president.
Can you just do this?
That's rude.
No, it's not. It's a terrorist fist bump.
Yeah, but that's
the country living.
That doesn't close the
country
deal.
living.
It doesn't close the deal.
Yeah, you can just talk, man. I can hit enter on a fucking keyboard.
No. The opposable thumb is what makes us
we're
special.
past that. We're past that.
Special.
We're way past that.
So use all 5 of your fucking fingers to email us at freshproducemedia@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Scribe means right.
Scribe the notes of this podcast and make footnotes. We actually need somebody to do the timestamp if you want to take the time to do a timestamp and be part of it.
In the first comment.
Yeah. And we'll make sure to post and share that. But we appreciate you. My name is Phraydoe Peans. I'm starting a boy band with Thompson.
And I am quitting the boy band because fuck boy bands. Okay.
Quit playing games with our hearts.
Don't go breaking my heart, breaking my heart.
Break it down.
Don't go breaking my heart, breaking my heart.
Been in a boy band, bro.
Because it's the only one I got. It's the only one I got.
Sound like Rod Stewart. Peace and love, y'all.
Later.